All right. Time. It's a big chair. I can like move in with my family here. Thank you. Okay, everyone. How's this? Is the sound okay? All right. I feel like I need like 7 more people in this chair to make it fully used. All right. So first of all, I'm not Bentinho. Oh yeah. So it's just a different story. So I was kind of wondering, and so I thought, and I couldn't come up with an answer, so I thought I would ask you, what should we work on? What should we work on? Calling? Anything else? I'm just curious. Bullshit. Relationships, bullshit, all right? So right now I have calling, all the things we could work on. Let's just kind of get them up here. Ask yourself, if you could get anything out of this session. So, calling. Well, none of it exists, and none of it's the truth anyway, so who cares? So far, the 3 requests I have are calling, relationship, and bullshit. Bullshit. All right. How is the sound? How's the sound? Right. Yep. Children. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry? Energies? Energies. Different energies, like solar, wind, no. Yeah. Fearless? Fearless. Fearless. Beyond enlightenment? Whoa, that one pulling something. Beyond. It might be that beyond enlightenment, it's just you get so like bored being enlightened that you just drop back to this just so you can do it again. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised, because the universe has quite the sense of humor. Inspiration, mission. Calling and mission. As you start to lay these out, why I like to look at that and see what's in people's spaces, at some level, my intention is that your intention is fulfilled, so it's good to get connected to it. Part of that is also giving you an opportunity to cleanse or refine your intention, because some of your intentions come from lack beliefs versus one that's true to who you are. And you'll see, if work is done well, it only takes 1 or 2 types of dialogue to hit all of these things, right? They're all connected. What else?
The actual reason we're here.
The actual, which is what? Sorry?
Which is maybe not what we think it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, good. Yeah. The actual reason. The actual reason you're actually here was to tell us how much you appreciated Ben's and I's music. That's the only reason we brought you, so that people can go, oh, wow, that was really good. And now that that's done, we can go home. Anything else? Yep.
Fourth density relational experience.
Say that again?
Fourth density relational experience.
4th density relational experience. What do you mean by that?
Fourth density has several qualities, and that we can.
Okay, hang on. This is longer, so we will get this on the mics. I just, if like that. One of the things is, guys, is I'm going to give you, you know, you can completely set yourself free and transform your life simply by, I can do it simply by managing how you speak. We don't realize how automatically we speak, and if you slow down and actually were absolutely intentional of every moment of your speaking, it would completely alter your existence. And part of it is when you use terminology, I'm not saying don't, but are you generating it or are you just consuming it? Are you just repeating it, right? Are you reproducing or creating in that speaking? And I, most of the time, don't know what, I'm not saying you shouldn't, I most of the time don't know what people mean because they have different interpretations of those different terminologies and stuff like that. So, what's that? They don't know what they mean. Usually that's actually the case, yes. So, fourth density relational, by the way, it's a good indicator that when you can't, the people can't remember what you were saying, that you weren't saying anything. No, I mean that. Like, if you actually go, if you listen to somebody and you'll just remember this part of it, there was something authentic there. And, anyways, so say what your intention is. Is that mic? No, it's not on?
No. Is it?
Yep.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So what I mean is, you want to know what I mean by fourth density.
Yeah, like the thing that you said you want to accomplish is fourth density relational something.
Experience, yes.
Experience, okay, good. So what do you mean by that? I just don't know.
So for me, what I understand is like the fourth density has several qualities,
yeah,
and that we can experience these qualities in our relationship and together here.
What are those qualities?
Like the openness towards each other, like no need of separating yourself in terms of what is happening inside of you. Then another thing is that you are able to see the other beyond what they are showing you. Communication more from the heart.
All right, cool. So consider that you could just say, being open and authentic.
You can, yes.
Yeah.
But
and it'll be
usually what is happening with that is that people have an interpretation of openness and authentic.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's same thing. And when I use like the terminology of fourth density, it creates like a different pointer.
But or you as far as you know, right? Here's the thing, it didn't
absolutely.
for me.
Sorry?
It didn't for me.
Okay.
Right? You could just say people being much more authentic and open than they normally are. And I'll tell you this, one of the things, guys, if you want to be effectiveness in communication has nothing to do with what you say. If you're actually interested and committed in being effective in communication, the only thing that matters is what gets heard. And we talk a lot. But we often have no idea what's getting heard. And then we wonder why things are the way they are. You should be really interested in what is getting heard. Not even care about what you're saying, other than how it's landing. But I got that. I got what your commitment is, and I got what it represents to you. And, you know, one of the things is I recommend people practice talking without any jargon whatsoever. Recreate your intention and your idea in simple language every single time. Don't take the shortcut of jargon and see what happens. Just a recommendation. So, I'll put down 4D relation. Okay, what else would you love to work on? Yes?
Wait, 1 second. One second.
Love and freedom? Love and freedom. That's okay. If it's just short, I'll just repeat it just like that. But, you know, guys, one of the things about jargon and all of that, let me just start with one thing first. I have two mantras that really help. It's such a big chair. It's so weird. I would feel better if it was like somebody here. I feel we're underutilizing, like, this is an environmentally unfriendly chair. In my country, you could have a family of 8 in here, and I still have company. Okay, so so two mantras that really work for me in life, and these these two things carry me through everything. What I'm committed to more, probably more than most about everything is flow. Just living this flow, just flow. I can really experience the difference of flow versus disruption. And when something happens that's disrupted and things seem off, I just ask myself a question: what is this perfect for? And I sit with it until I find what it's perfect for. But not like what I call spiritual light. It's not just doing it and having a nice positive, like actually in your very bones, sitting with it until you get, and suddenly you'll have a surge of energy and flow is restored. The other mantra is I'm wrong about everything. It's just that I'm wrong about everything is my observation. Because no matter what, I'm pretty sure, well, you look for yourself, but I bet that everybody in here has had at least one, if not multiple experiences of being absolutely certain about something in an area of life, doing some learning and going, oh, that wasn't, and this, and then having another one, right, and this. You guys get what I mean? Yeah. So why do you think this is it? But you get what I'm saying? Yeah. If you actually use precedent, you're wrong about this too. Right? I've already had complete flips numerous times in my life. Absolutely certain about this, and then, oh man, I was so blind. And then this, oh no, I was even still blind. And then, but you think now you're not? You get what I'm saying? There's this profound arrogance that we're operating from because we can only look at temporality in one direction. We laugh at people who say, oh yeah, can you believe they thought Apollo was pulling the sun across the sky? Matches the activity, right, the description. So we think our science that describes things matches, you know, is real because it matches. But every week they go, oh, we were wrong about this. The only thing, it's funny because what people, when I want to challenge people, I say, well, how do you know that is real and that's not? They go, well, that's, you know, precedent, experimentation. And I said, well, let's use your own argument of history and precedent. How do you know this is not possible? Well, precedents, okay. Well, actually, if we take an aerial view and we pull back, precedent shows that we keep discovering we were wrong about stuff and we keep doing things that were before not possible. So, you know, the only thing we can really be pretty sure about is that we don't know anything. All you need to do is to put yourself in the eyes of somebody 1,000 years from now looking back and laughing at us. So I say that to create a bit of room. I want to create some flexibility in the reality in which you're listening from. Make it soft, make it malleable, make it into something that we can shape. Let's open it up. Let's loosen your hold on the reality because that'll make it a lot easier to dig into those things. Because if we do it from your current fixed reality, that'll actually just be rearranging the furniture in the same house. So first get that, maybe just at least consider that you're wrong about everything. And I say that because, you know, there's a world out there, and then we put labels. You really think that the labels we make up, like third and fourth density or this or enlightenment, like, we just made those up. You know what I'm saying? And previously they'd made other stuff up, and we think that's funny. We made this stuff up. And the moment you drop into it like a conclusion, like it's real, you're trapped by it. You know, one of the funniest things is in science that we're like, it's so unconscious. You go, well, things behave like particles and things behave like waves, except light has both properties. We made those two words up. It just behaves like light. You know what I'm saying? It was like it's just like but we're like, again, we go, oh, no, like we made up two words to describe the nature of the universe. Right? How much of all of the universe have we seen that we actually know? We think we know how it is. Anyway, so what will give a lot of access, from my perspective, if you want to have a real alteration of trajectory in your life out of the next couple of hours, is letting go of what you know. But actively getting, you know, the knower, like actually, well, holy shit, look at all this stuff I think I know. You know, in some schools of transformation and enlightenment, they talk about where is the nature of transformation done, and they draw a circle, and they go, here's 3 pieces of the pie. One piece of the pie is all the knowledge in the universe. One piece is there's what you know that you know. You know that you know how to drive a car, or whatever, right? You know where you live, right? There's what you know that you know. And then they say there's what you know that you don't know. You know that you don't know how to perform brain surgery or to fly a plane, so you know where to stay away from, right? So you know that you don't know those things. And then they say, oh, and the third piece, which is the biggest, it's what you don't know that you know. So sorry, it's what you don't know, right? You don't know that you don't know. There's all this world that you don't know. And they go, that's where transformation happens. And I think they missed the slice, which is what you don't know that you know. What you're unaware of that you believe from that platform. You have a platform in the back. You have all your beliefs from there. You actually don't even know that you know how it is, that you know what is and isn't possible, right? You've inherited a background reality, and if you want to know why you keep trying things and reading books and doing things, and a lot of stuff doesn't change, it's because this thing in the background, right, is keeping things fixed. Does that make sense? Yes. All right. So we want to see if we can shine a light on that a little bit and loosen that up. You know, it was interesting. I've done a lot of experiments, and one time in Vancouver, I had this group called the Business Collective, and we'd meet every month for a 2 solid day intensive. And at the end of 11 to 12 months, all of them businesses skyrocketed, went through the roof, and they all came and said, what did we do last month that made it? What was the key principle? I said, it wasn't. I said, even though I'm teaching you things every month, the thing that's made the most difference is every single month I've been just with everything I have, chipping away and trying to remove what you know is not possible. All I've been doing is removing what you know is not possible. All I've been doing is removing what you know is not possible. And suddenly you start to take actions down paths that you never took before. But you have no idea how certain you are about things. And the thing is, you're wrong about everything. Just try it. Like, we make up stuff. We make up, like, this and, you know, all you got to do is, like, the stuff that you believe. Oh, cholesterol is bad for you. No, it's just bad cholesterol. Oh, you know what? Forget it. We're wrong about the whole thing. Cholesterol's fine. But each step along the way, we believed it. You know what I'm saying? We didn't, like, oh, no, and we changed our diets and we did all the, like, without hesitation. You know, and some, I mean, I'm generalizing. Some of you didn't, but there's other things that you did that with, like you. But if there's anything that we have precedent for, is that none of this is the truth. You could say it's our current window. It's our best current guess. It's making, you know, a more aligned direction of life than any other stuff, right? But it would be insane based on your own history to make this the final conclusion. Did everybody get that? So be careful with the terminology. That whether it's fourth density, whether it's enlightenment, or whatever it is, just be careful with that, because it's just a placeholder for a possible idea. Reality is so far beyond the words that we can use to describe it. Turning our words into reality is like eating the menu at a restaurant. Do you get what I'm saying? The menu does represent something, but it's representative. It's not the thing itself. So an invitation is to not believe anything, but try things and see what happens. You get that? And when you try something, even though it works, that doesn't make it true either. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when they built a sundial, they based it on that there's a chariot pulling the sun across. The sundial worked. That doesn't mean there's a chariot in the sky. Do you get that? Just because what you do works and it correlates doesn't mean your explanation is accurate. You know, Einstein and Leopold said in 1938, I'll paraphrase this because I can't remember the exact wording, but he said, physical laws, you know, like the physical principles, that he said are free creations of the human mind. He said, it is like a man who observes a watch. He can see the motion of the hands. He can hear the ticking. And based on what he sees and hears, he creates up his best guess of what the mechanism that's making that happen. But he'll never be able to compare his model with the actual mechanism, and he can't even begin to imagine the meaning of such a comparison. And you know, it's funny because you know what scientists do? They go, here's what this, and this is, and there's a bunch of stuff that we're pretty sure is there, but we can't explain it, so we'll call it dark matter. I'm not kidding. Everything, there's all this stuff, and then they just know because everything we know doesn't explain everything. There's dark matter and dark energy, and there you go. And I think it's pretty funny, so I've decided to adopt it for human development too, because people get so absorbed in the, why is it like this, and why do I do this, and why? And if you don't know the answer, we'll just say, oh, well, dark energy. Okay, good. Now you know why. Now let's go on to the future, shall we? We'll just go, yeah, no, that's just dark. Yeah, never mind. Dark matter, yeah. Yeah. You had too much dark matter for breakfast. So I think one of the absurdities is that we think we know how it is. I invite you, I'm not saying don't use the words, but I invite you to not be trapped in them, not to have them be real or be conclusive. You then? Have them be tools that we're using for the moment to piece together some ideas, to look at things that we hadn't looked at before. But just, you know, like, one of the interesting things is my work, my calling is people experience source, and I've been working to get further and further back. How do we get to the source of things? A couple of years ago, we started to break through to whole nother levels and see these amazing results happen with people and organizations. And the first couple of times that happened, me and my colleague Richard were like, oh, look at that, we're brilliant. And then we realized, oh, no, that was in the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, right, written a couple of thousand years ago. All right, never mind. And so we quickly realized that the more sourceful the thing that we got to, and the more impact it made, the older it was. Interesting, eh? We really think we're cutting some new ground. No, you could say we've deviated from source and we're just trying to correct. And then here's the cool thing. As I started to go beyond human development to what's the nature of life on Earth and society, and it became really clear to me that community was a critical element, not individual, the community. Right? And started to look at the nature of the most effective manner of community and society. And it took me back to even pre-writings. It took me back to the very, even before language, the way tribes operated. And not like we talk about tribes in the pseudo-enlightened community or whatever. It's like that. No, tribes be nice. No, like really tribe where you have each other's back and you'll fight, you put your life on the line. Right? Of what it is, because there's something more important than you in your life, which causes the using of your entire life, and you have the experience of living fully because there's something more important than your entire life, and you give it to it, and there's where your life is full. So it's an interesting, and now in those, and guess what? In those very sourceful existences, they didn't have a lot of jargon and terminology. And I've noticed this thing in the last 6 months since my time in the jungle in the Sierra Nevada to Santa Marta, which is that almost, this is my view, this is my opinion, is almost all of our language is a compensation for having left source in the first place. Almost all of our language, everything we're saying is actually only because we're not being sourceful in the first place. So you know why we have the term organic? Because we went away from organic. You get what I'm saying? Why we have the term integrate? Oh, because we fractured. But we had to make up a whole bunch of words, which actually keep that reality in place. I'm sitting there with these tribal elders, you know, in the Sierra, and they're showing how they grow their coffee, and I'm like, where's the coffee? Oh, it's there. They're just showing me the hills, because they go and they plant it in the forest in a perfect balance with the land. They don't clear land. And I go, oh, it's amazing. They're like, well, how else would you? Why would you destroy land? And, you know. And then I share it with other people. They go, oh, that's permaculture. But they're just like, no, that's just, you know, like, there's no terminology for stuff until we screw shit up. And then we have to make up terminology. And then we become, and instead of just actually truing up, we just become experts in why it's screwed up. And being able to describe the screwed up state of things, right? That's one way of looking at it. Anyways, so I invite us to just loosen our grip on the language, as I'm saying, to create a working environment for this dialogue, to loosen our grip on reality. Like, just none of it's real. I know we've heard that, but what would it take to actually get that and not just say it intellectually? What would it take and not to just have to be the right dialogue? So are you willing to do the work? To actually, there's this thing that I've been talking with Bentinho about what I call being doing. No, sorry, doing being. Let me say that around. Doing being, right? Doing being. Like, there's all this stuff that you learn, and then people are like, oh, doing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's supposed to be about being, not doing. But people are like doing the being thing. Right? They're doing the gratitude thing versus being grateful. Right? It's not about, the purpose of the exercise is to generate being. The other thing is, being does not mean not doing. Because your children would starve if you just did that, I think. But it's being true, and then whatever happens in action is what happens, by what's given by a true, an aligned self. It's that the action comes from being, it's not that there's no doing. But if you're doing all of these things and not dropping in with the effort required, one of the things is as far as I can tell, all of this work comes from, the results of this type of work comes from daily practice. And if you're not coming up with a list of practices that you'll do every single day as a function of being here, there's not a lot of value in being here. This is not, people come and they go to teachers and they go, oh, I want that, and they're waiting for the insight that changes it, but every one of those teachers practices that shit every day. It's actually not complex. My question is always, why should I talk? Because everybody that's sitting here already knows a bunch of practices that they should be doing and aren't doing. So why would I give you more to not do? You laugh, but it's true. That's the laughter of recognition. Right? Like, I mean, I actually think there's only one course that we need for all of humanity. I haven't figured out how to deliver it yet, which is the how to do what you know you should be doing but aren't doing program. So how do we impact that, right? How do we impact, well, before we even add anything, if the only thing we did was impact that, you could suddenly start doing a whole bunch of stuff you already know. Which not only are you not doing, you're also now making yourself wrong for not doing, so you even lowered your state of being by learning that stuff. And now you have a whole bunch of more stuff in your head. I should be doing this, I should be doing that. I'm like that, doing like that. I'm going to do my meditation. I'm like, do that. Oh, no, I ate some bread. I was saying what I said. So, my assertion is if we could actually get that we're wrong about everything, and of course that we're completely full of shit because we're not doing what we know to do. And if all you did was out of this, take one really clear practice and did it every single day, you have a bunch of practices that you've learned from reading books and coming to retreats and workshops. You know stuff that will really make a difference in the quality of your life, and you don't do it. So before we get into more, how come you don't do it? Complacency, okay, but see, that you're actually not inaccurate with that. However, the word, while accurate, doesn't give us access to all of what's going on. That's the other thing. Our explanations are accurate, but not productive. So I'm going to tell you, it's such a simple thing. We simply do what's important to us. And you have to understand this. Many of you, and you can fill in the blank with your own example. For instance, you always have beer in the fridge. Or whatever you do. You have wine or you have dish, or whatever you have, right? Like, I'm just as an example, filling your version. That's important to you. You know how I know? Because you always have it. When it runs out, you go to the store and get it. That's more important to you than being, profoundly peaceful and enlightened. How do I know? Because you're not doing the practices that would leave you profoundly peaceful and enlightened. But you are going and getting beer every week. That, my friends, is your life. You notice I don't have to teach you how to go and get beer? Yeah, so you don't like that. And it runs out, and you take an action, and you get it. But when you have all these practices, and you're not practicing them, why? Because it's not important. And if I said, give me the top 5 practices or ways of doing things or things you should be doing that it would make a real big difference in your life that you're not currently doing, and you give me that 5. And if I said, I want you to report a track and have somebody do that every single day for 6 months, so you do it, and if you do at the end of that, I give you $1 million, a bunch of you would do it. Because suddenly it would become important. All that does is it reveals that it's not important now. Is everybody clear? If you can't tell the truth, if you have to hide, oh, my tire is flat, you can't tell the truth about it, you can't fix it. So you want to tell the truth about where the lack of action is. You get what I'm saying? You got to be able to, want to talk about fourth density relationship, then communication? Fine, then be this authentic. A whole bunch of other stuff is more important. And the funny thing is, if we put whatever it is, if we put $1 million at stake, whatever, a bunch of action would happen that's not currently happening, because that would make it important. And that you have to actually deal with it. $1 million, for some, is more important than your state of being. And why do you want $1 million? So that you could buy stuff to improve your state of being. Which it never does. So we could do the work of the calling. I could give you stuff around all of this stuff. But why? It's not important enough for you to work on. Because in every one of those things, you could be working on it, or you could be doing work on it that you're not currently doing. If it was important enough, it was a priority. The calling, it only works if you make it the most important thing in your life. That's the thing that really makes it work. And it's the context for everything. And life is quite remarkable from there. But otherwise, it doesn't work. Because it's who you are. And if who you are isn't the most important thing, then how are you going to, oh, no, I'll do that on Tuesdays from 2 to 4. Yes. Can we have a microphone here? Yes. Right over here.
Sometimes don't follow a practice because I'm not convinced it's going to work.
All right. So, I mean, I get that. And the thing is, if it was important enough to you, you'd try them until you were sure.
But there's so many things that are offered. So which one do you choose?
You know what? The thing is this. When you're committed, when you're a child learning to ride a bicycle, your father says do it like this, or your mother like this, you don't care. You just keep going and going and going until you get it. And if that doesn't work, you do this. And if that doesn't work, you do that. And if that doesn't work, you do that. That's the thing. When you're committed, you don't care. You're not thinking, you're trying. If this doesn't work, you throw it out, you go to the next one. And you don't stop till you get balance. And that's just the thing. Guys, your mind will come up with whatever it wants, but the bottom line is how you can tell what's really important to a person is they have it or they're in action with everything they have. You get that? You want to experience your full power? Who's got kids? Okay, will your children starve? No. You're just telling me that. No, but how do I know that won't happen? Because you won't let it happen. But what if you lose everything and you have no money? Will your children starve? No, still. You know what? That's your power. That's your concept. Why? Because it's important. So important, you'll do whatever it takes. And if you tried these 4 things that you learned and you didn't get food there, then you'll go over here. And if you don't get it there, you'll go over there. But you're not going to stop, what? Until your children are fed. And that's your full power is just sitting right there as long as something's important enough. You can turn on like this. And we've done it for like really important things like kids and getting up 4 times in the middle of the night. And we've done it for totally stupid things. But it's when we make it important. You know, you don't have enough time or money. You go, I can't do this. And then suddenly you fall in love and you're going away for the weekend. Right? Because, but no, really, because the possibility you could get laid is like more important than anything. And suddenly you'll do anything, right, to make that happen. We all have our version where we've done that. My first business was this photo lab, and when I was getting it off the ground, I worked 7 days a week. I did 2 or 3 all-nighters in the dark room every week, and my parents lived 10 minutes from there, and I didn't have time to go and to have dinner with them, and my girlfriend, I didn't have time to do anything, and everybody's so frustrated, and I just didn't. And then, back then, I was a big fan of The Who, and they were doing their last concert ever in Toronto, and suddenly I was gone for 4 days. You know? But really, you know, you've all done your version, right? When it's important, that's the thing about getting how full of shit you are. Like, I want you to get this because I want the possibility, I want you to consider the possibility that you could have everything happen one shift right now. You get that? I want you to consider this for you to consider, for you to get possibly as a gift, that the process of transformation is to get that there is no process. Like, I mean it, like, really, like, that could be, like, the coolest thing ever. Okay, right now, I'm done. Because you choose, right? Because I'm committed to pulling back a lot of even the processes I've developed because I got that they actually validate the length of the journey being long and complex when it's actually not. I studied like this. People have a near-death experience. Their whole perspective changes. Suddenly they have cancer. Oh, if you suddenly found out you had 9 months to live, oh my God, you would change, right? Every second would get important. Love expressed. Who cares what people think, right? Play hard. I'm going to suck every moment out of the 9 months I have left, right? The moment you know you're going to die, you start to really live. I have news for you. You are going to die. And you know, in your arrogance, you don't realize you don't even know if you have 9 months. Right? You don't know, but that you get like this, you say, if we could just pull you out of your head, you go, oh my God, I'm an idiot. Look at how I'm living. If I put the right circumstance, the right alteration in front of you, everything would change like this. Is everybody clear? Yeah. It's not real. Your things that you say you are not real. I want to create, again, the first thing to create some malleability with is you and your relationship to yourself. You know, if I had you come stand up here, right, and then I had 5 people walk in the back, a friend, a lover, a parent, a teacher, and a stranger, and I could say every one of them to describe you, they'd all say 5 different descriptions. Is it clear? And then you describe yourself, and that would be different. And if somebody says, oh, you know, people go, wow, somebody says, I'm so lazy. Another person says, no, you're so hardworking. Which is it? Which is real? Which is the truth? Exactly. None of them. You can't answer because this view. You know what? The views don't matter. You're just doing what you're doing. And you can label it whatever you want. Does everybody get that? Like, in reality, you can label it whatever you want, but what's happening is still what's happening. You either chopped wood and carried water or you didn't, right? But it's what's happening. You can call it. It doesn't matter what you call it. There's just what is actually happening. But what we do is we then make up ways of calling it and then use those names of lazy or this or that to justify a bunch of stuff. So let's start with that you're not anything. Let's start, you know, and the whole thing can happen like this. For one of the things that got me into this work is before I did this kind of work, I was a terminally shy person and I could not talk to new people. I was jealous of people who could sit at a bar or a counter and say hi to the person next to them. When people said hi to me, I was like, ooh, what a relief, and it was cool, but I couldn't do it. So I did all of this work and over some transformational programs and a leadership program, and I broke through something, and I realized, you could be free of the things that you think you are. And then I spent the last 25 years working in this area, and how much further can I take it and how can I get that available to all people? And then one of the things that really hit me was this one. You know, that how none of it's real, and I started delving into the nature of we say we are this and then we act that way, which reinforces, you know, all of those things, right? And in the one that I'm familiar with, right? I was so shy, and there are people that are so shy that you won't stop and ask anybody for directions. You know what I'm saying? You won't. However, and you feel almost like you can't, like I just can't do it, right? However, if you need to find a hospital because your child's bleeding in the car and you need directions, what will you do? You'll ask for directions. Will you go to a workshop first? Listen to an audio tape, read a book, get a coaching call? You won't. You know why? Because it's not real that you're shy. If it's real that you're 170 centimeters tall, and when you ask, you still are that. You're still that, but you're not shy. Because people go, oh, I'm shy, except when? Yeah, I know, that means you're not shy. So you're not any of the things that you think you are. You're just doing what you're doing and then calling it what you're calling it. And because you got so much time on your hands, you're absorbed with that. You know what we really need on Earth is a good alien invasion. Because then we'd all get together. It's amazing. I call it like either, you know, game day or battle mind. Like, and stuff's going on. I'm going, if there was a war right now, I wouldn't be thinking about any of those things, right? Because they're not real. If there's like a cut on my foot and the war starts, there's still a cut on my foot. If there's a war, then all the stuff that's in my head is gone. That's how you know it's not real. So I invite you not to work on that stuff. I'm not kidding. Do you guys get that? I'm inviting you to not, even for the rest of your life, ever work on that stuff ever again. Unless it's like a recreational thing. You know, like maybe you get together with your buddies with a couple of beers every Saturday afternoon and, hey, let's work on being like really confused and complex. Maybe you could turn it into like an Olympic sport or something like that. Like they said it. Never thought of that, but who knows? Anyways. So yes, we can work on this, but and I also invite you to consider that the more you let go of things are a particular way and you are a particular way, this is my experience, but you'll have to see for yourself. I'll invite you to consider that there's a lot less of that to work on. And that's one of the reasons I'm having this dialogue is with an effort to give you a lot less to work on, possibly even giving you nothing to work on. Nothing is my favorite thing. Nothing is like so cool. I mean, how cool would it be to get there's nothing you have to work on? Nothing whatsoever. Because there really isn't. So you wake up in this world that just is. So anybody, okay, who here, at least at some point in their life, has had a really awesome, great, joyful moment? Okay, good. And therefore you had those moments without the stuff that you do not currently have. Without the enlightenment you don't have, without the convertible you don't have. So all that shit you don't have, whatever it is, you already had complete joy and perfection. So what are you looking for? I mean that. Like, what are you working on? You go, oh, dude, I already did it. How did I do that? Like, not over there, but like right here. Where are you going? If the physics of it shows you already had everything you needed to generate that, how do you know? Because you already have. Then what are you looking for? You have to understand this. The pursuit of anything, the pursuit of happiness, guarantees unhappiness. Because you're pursuing it, which means it's there and not here because you're in the pursuit of it. So, an awesome thing would be to get. There's absolutely nothing to do. And have the entire shift happen right here like that. And absolutely understanding that maybe it won't completely stick, but at least if you get it, and then the only thing you practice is that over and over again, it's all you need. Until you raise the percentage of it to the level you want in your life. Does that make sense? But so you have to be open. Your mind would have to be open to that reality where it can just happen now. Because it actually does for people. The moment they get a certain type of news, everything changes. And it can only change instantly if it wasn't real in the first place. Oh, it took 20 years for me to build this perspective, and so it'll take me 20 years to dismantle. No, it doesn't. So, if nothing that you want to work on and that you're dealing with is real, what should we do? I know, there's not much to do, is there? Yeah, we could play. We could play Pictionary right now. Like the world's biggest game of Pictionary ever. So, now, in that space, there's like, okay, there's something, in the space, creation comes from nothing. So in that space, there's the possibility of creating. If you come from here, all of these things will get impacted. There's a couple of specific things I can give in some of the areas. But, you know, the interesting thing, for who said, you know, beyond enlightenment, is one of the invitations is just to toss the word out. See, like when I came across the spiritual circle in California, I saw this thing where they're all walking around with this dialogue about this and the pursuit of enlightenment and looking at other people who are not as evolved. I say, everybody's walking up, right? What are you talking about? And then they're like, there's this thing, and there's a kind of an arrogance to it. And I go, oh, you do realize that the nature of enlightenment, the way it's described, is it's the space of being and no judgment, yes? Yet you're walking around saying it's better to be enlightened. So you've immediately made it impossible for you to achieve the very thing you're pursuing. But we do that. We do that automatically. You guys know what I'm talking about? That's why I want to slow it all down and say, what if, like, just really? If the funny thing is, whenever I have like a judgment or something pop up in my head that has anything kind of off true, I sit with it until I can create I don't know if a balance, but a whole perspective of it. And I remember going through this and this and their judgment, and I was listening, and somehow it came up about people in rednecks or whatever, and I was imagining, oh yeah, there's a redneck sitting in a trailer. Said, let me sit with this. I noticed I have a bit of opinion there. And then I thought about it, and I realized I had this interesting thought, which is, okay, so here you have these people, and they're like this, and let's change the world, and we're on this, and we're going to right these wrongs. And then you have a redneck sitting in a trailer, drinking Budweiser, watching Jerry Springer, but he does not want or need life to be anything different than the way it is right that second. Who, in fact, is more enlightened? By its definition of what that is, right? We're just so immediate and arrogant about it. So part of the invitation is to slow down. Not go anywhere, not pursue anything. You know, and consider that, you know, all the stuff up here, it's kind of like, you know how your, as long as your fridge is working, it makes a noise, like it hums? That's like your head. That's how you know you're alive. It's making a bunch of noise. But you don't have to sit around and listen to your fridge. You don't allow it to direct you in your life. But I mean that. It's going, yes? So? The problem is not that you talk to yourself. The problem is that you listen. I mean that. Like, that's it. You don't just go, oh, there's that noise. It's like that. You just, you know, like when you're like, if you're playing a sport, you play football or you go skiing or you're playing, whatever it is, you're playing with, it's not, whatever is there, it's just that your attention is on something else. That's why your life is so joyful when you play. Because it's just you're listening, your attention is here rather than here. And if you don't have enough interesting stuff to be up to in life, then all you can do is listen to yourself. And man, I'm the most boring, irritating person I know. Like, I have had nothing new to say to myself in a very long time. All right? So the invitation is like, oh yeah, okay, I got that. Probably as long as I'm alive. As long as my fridge is working, it's humming. As long as I'm alive, I'm probably got some noise going on. Okay, I got that. And in those moments of joy and aliveness and fulfillment, there was simply what you were engaged in. You were present, yes? That's all. And you have that capacity. How do we know? Because you've already experienced it. Oh, all right. Cool. And I could, if we want to, I'm not going to, but we can tie all that same conversation to the deep connection with Source, to the universe, because presence is presence. When you're present, it's all there. We don't have to break it into little pieces and pathways. I don't think so. So again, I'm going to keep repeating. The invitation is to allow this session to give you access to just the shift. It's there. The access is there. The access is just there. But it's a matter of you choosing. It's a matter of you making that, living with all of these things at the highest level, making them, all it is making them more important than other things. I'm going to say my observation is what's more important to people than that is avoiding discomfort. The single general motivation is the avoidance of discomfort, avoiding a difficult conversation, avoiding effort, avoiding not knowing how to do something, and people say, oh no, but I have discomfort here and here. Yeah, I know, but you're just doing that to avoid a bigger discomfort. So you have to choose whether living right now, living aligned life, living joyfully is more important, or avoiding discomfort. Every second you have that choice. Every second you have that choice. If you took on nothing other than that right now, that'll handle everything. That'll handle everything. Choose true now, and now, and now, and now, and now. That gives a context for the calling. Choose true to what? Okay, great. We can discuss that. Right? But I wanted to create this background first. I want to consider like all of that other, like really. And I spent many years and had a whole body of work that I get rid of, which was about handling and dismantling and getting into all of those complex mechanisms that we built that get in our way. And I delivered them very effectively for tens and thousands of people with lots of good results. And then I realized you don't need to do any of it. We can work on all of this stuff in the past, or we can only live this way from now on in the future. I discovered that after all these methodologies I had of having closure and completion with the past and very effective ways of going back, I discovered the best way to be awesomely in love with your past is to have a present and a future that's so amazing you cannot have an issue with your past because it got you here. I'm not kidding. Okay? That's the only thing you need to work on. Because you just can't, if it's amazing, how can you have an issue? So again, what I want to do is try to distill everything into the simplest form that allows you to live an aligned life. And let's dig into it, but I'll tell you one thing to listen for. That is, so, you know, like I was talking about how we go one way, then we flip and we go another way. So one thing, how I made a lot of my early work was very good at the conventional world, which is how to create and achieve goals. You could throw me into anything. I could create outcomes and produce a blueprint and produce those outcomes no matter what they were or how big they were. And I taught people that, and then, but no matter what we produced, you know, I'd help the guy triple his business, and then he was stressed by the bigger business. And I go, I want people to be happy. Like, what's going on? Like, and then I saw these things. So I'm going to say the thing and then come back with some more expressions of it. The thing is this. Where we're taught to navigate from is here is where I am getting to. You get that? I'm getting to here. I need to figure out how to get to there, do it in a responsible and effective manner, whatever, be efficient. But navigate from here is where I'm getting to. What we're going to talk about is that you don't navigate from there at all. Instead, you navigate only where am I coming from. Not where am I getting to, but where am I coming from. It's a conversation of profound honor and integrity and staying true to something, and it involves a massive amount of uncertainty, and that's why we don't like it. However, it's the nature of nature. Staying true to something means you'll have no idea where you're going to end up, but you'll be at home where you do. As opposed to all the places that we've set goals to end up, and we get there and we discover we're not totally at home there. Did everybody get the difference? So there is nothing. Dealing with the discomfort of the uncertainty until you get into the flow of it and feel the magic of it. But that's the nature of this. Listening for shifting the entire way in which you live your life. And some people, you've got a little facility in this or whatever it is, but like literally everything, your entire existence is where am I coming from, and staying true to something and letting that take you where it takes you. So you throw out all the vision boards and all the things, you burn them, shit like that, you know. Sorry, but the thing about all that stuff is it's not here. I'm not saying it's not valid, but listen closely. So I first did this work. People would say what they wanted, their visions, and I would help them achieve it. Then I saw them no happier, sometimes less. Then I saw, oh, wait a minute, I have to do better work on where is their vision coming from. And I realized a lot of their visions were coming from inherited dialogues, lack beliefs, standards, like all that stuff, right? Oh, when I have more money, when I have this, when I have... So, and I go, oh, so let's actually have it come from a place that's pure. And not just me, I found like a lot of people doing that, helping people first get really grounded and clear, get in a pure space of who they are, and then create a vision. And it would be inspiring. You get moved by it. It's a great vision, right? And the death of everything is attachment. So what happened was, in those moments, they're creating purely from the space, and they're coming from somewhere while they're creating the vision. Then you create this vision, which really did come from an authentic space, but shortly, without realizing it, you become attached to the vision. And now where you're coming from is the vision versus self, and the vision is dynamic. And the more you're attached to that vision, you start to sell out on self, trying to achieve it. And you don't even realize that then your self disappears, but you don't notice because you know you created it from the right place. So I saw all these subtleties and all these disciplines where a lot of the stuff was done well, but still there was something missing. And then what I got to was just, oh my God, what you have to do is always come from here, come from the true place, and keep letting that vision move and grow and change and even disappear completely. It's how when Bentinho and I met, is at work, and he's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do retreats anymore. Now we have to move to the next thing. Like something can when you just come from alignment, new futures show up. You know it's amazing, because every year is amazing, remarkable, new, and in 50 years, it's like living 50 lifetimes, because it's all creating, no consuming. No coasting. It's all in the game of life. So it's the art of living, and it causes you to be present, which goes back to the most magical moments of your life. You are present. So you want to create an environment which demands that you're present, which means being where you're coming from and having uncertainty about where you're getting to. Just like when you're on the football field, you don't know. You got to be present, play. You don't know what's going to happen in the game. Yeah? Here's what's funny. We want certainty all the time, but we go to games or we go to movies. We don't want to know what's going to happen. We wouldn't go to them if we did. That's what makes them fun. Why do you want your life like that? We're kind of funny, aren't we? Yes. So this is a conversation about where we're coming from, staying true no matter what. And life is incredible from that space. And it's funny, like just said, you go one direction and you go another. So a lot of my early work, people thought, I'm a little bit crazy, 'cause, like we're working from imagination, what's possible, and going after results that we could imagine. And people don't live in that, and they're like, in this limited thinking, and people thought that was the high end. Now, in the last couple of years, since I started working from this space of not working from an outcome, regardless even what I can imagine, only staying true, that work has taken me to things I could not even have imagined, and now I get that imagination is a profound limitation on what's possible. That, my friends, is an interesting place of living. Imagine that your imagination is a massive limitation on what's possible. And it is, because you can only imagine what you can imagine, and what's in the universe is way beyond what you can imagine. So this dialogue is an invitation is to leap beyond that world. Clear? So how do we do that, eh? First of all, you forget all that shit in your head. None of it's true anyway. And we put our attention out here. Put our attention out here. See, the thing is, you don't need to dismantle or do anything with that stuff. When you're focusing on something else, that stuff doesn't exist. This is the thing I want people to get. That stuff, and I spent decades working on people and dismantling it, and it's there. And I had this profound realization: is what if there's nothing to transform? Because you know, if I'm working on transforming your fear, then your fear has to exist so I can work on it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, okay, good. Now let's get into your fear and let's talk about it. And not invalid, you get that? But wait a minute, like I'm making it more. And then I started to do this work and said, let me ask you, if you no longer had that fear and we transformed it, what would you do? Well, I would write this book, or I would start my own business, or I would ask that person out. I said, let's just go do those things. And we would do those things with a little support and with a little encouragement, whatever, and the thing would be gone. I'm like, holy shit, we've been working all that time. We didn't need to. Right? I just want to keep creating some agreement around, like, it's like, yes, you could walk across the country, but you could also take a plane. You know what I'm saying? It's fine. If you want to do that work, if you love doing that work, fine, spend the rest of your life doing that work. Have a beer, I'm going to sit down and dismantle myself. It's all good like that. But just be clear that it's your choice and make it recreational or whatever. Or don't do it all. Just let's just go where we're going. So this is about where to create living your life from now and now and now, such that if you're living from there, the other stuff becomes irrelevant. See, the stuff that's going on with you, like, because people go, I'm not happy because of this, or because of what happened in my past, or that's not true, because there's times you've been really happy and the thing didn't disappear from your past. You guys get what I'm saying? You go, I'm happy because I don't have enough money. Well, you were happy last week. Yes, well, your bank account didn't change. You get, like, the false, I can't break through it if you keep holding on to those false correlations, right? You make that real, then there's nothing, okay, got it. I keep blaming that. It's okay to just, I can say, yep, caught myself blaming that again, but just get that, it's okay that you did that, just get that you did that. And bring yourself back to this open space in which you get, okay, I can come from a different place. So, an access into a life that's beyond what you can imagine. And the thing is, this isn't about some fantasy. This is not about some. It's actually really raw. It's who you are. Joyful living. One way of saying like joy is distinct from happiness is it includes everything. If you're joyfully playing a game, like just use football as an example, sometimes you're like feeling great. Sometimes you're running down the field and you feel like puking your guts or whatever. But it's part of the game. There's the joy of the game. You get that? The joy of like raising children is sometimes wanting to strangle them. But it is, right? When you're in the full joy of something living, it's the room for all. It's not about not feeling a particular way. It's about the room for feeling always. Because when you're running down the field and you're playing for the championship, it gives you a context for that amount of effort, for feeling that way, for being out of breath, right? It gives room for it. That's why you're alive, because you're not trying to not feel a particular way. You're just going for it, and you'll feel however you feel. So one of my premises is, one access to freedom is no longer caring about how you feel. There's such freedom in that. Because we're like, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel this. I want to feel this way. So that you're chasing and avoiding experiences and feelings. Right? Versus just going for it, being in life. And including that, and living life fully is having all the experiences show up. And feeling that, and feeling the contrast, and feeling the joy and the grief and the pain. And all of them exist. And people don't realize that you can have I think, personally, a state of bliss isn't where you can include all of those with no resistance. Not never having those. It's not just some happy state. It's like, that's the fullness of life, the feeling everything. I got that. Hang on a second. You know, it's interesting. I was talking about, you know how much you enjoy a fire? You know how you really enjoy a fire? It's when you come in from the snow. You'll never enjoy a fire from warm to fire that you will ever from as cold to fire. You got to have all the pieces to make it all like amazing. You got to have all the different pieces. Nothing like that feel of being cold, brushing the snow off of you, coming to a fire. So what makes life exquisite is all those different aspects. This is only distinct from that because both parts are there. Surrendering to all of it. And then having your life be up to something, like playing a game, like a world championship game for your life or earth, for your purpose, that actually gives you total inclusion of everything, and you're not afraid of feeling any way at all. Like when you're running down the field, you're not afraid. You know what I'm saying? It's irrelevant. You're not afraid. You just feel how you feel. And it'd be so cool if you could get free of worrying about how you feel. So, let me stop for a second and just see. I'm going to go into what's the steps into creating that kind of life, creating that shift right now, a line of demarcation right now, and then creating a future that is unrestricted. It's not a function of inertia or momentum from the past. Let's just say it like that. Before I do that, let me see if there's questions or requests for clarity or anything you want to share about what we've covered so far. I get a sense of what's happening. It could be what opened up, what you saw, what you want to clarify or ask. Anything? Mike in the back.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi. You just said don't care the way you feel, but isn't that how you create your reality?
Sure, yeah. Could you just stand up? And then say again, yeah?
You just said don't care about the way you feel.
Yeah.
And we've been taught if you feel bad, something's out of alignment, so get back into alignment. So basically you do need to take care the way you about the way you feel, right?
I'm not quite clear what you're asking.
State of being
Yes.
is the way you think,
Yeah.
how you feel,
Yeah.
and you become that.
Yes.
So basically, it is important.
You don't have to become that.
So, like yesterday, the whole time, Bentinho was talking about if you're feeling bad,
Yeah.
it means you're out of alignment from the source.
I would say
So
that.
you need to get back into
Yeah.
alignment by changing your perspective or your belief
Yeah.
about what's happening.
Yeah.
So your feeling is the way your guidance, basically.
Yeah, I got what you. Let me clarify something. Not caring about how you feel doesn't mean you ignore it. You get the difference? Yeah. So the thing is this. It's that you don't sit there and get fascinated, worried about how you feel. You don't try to not feel a particular way. You're not driven by it, and then you do notice your feelings. Feelings are a beautiful thing. Some give you joy in life, and others indicate to you that something's off. But you're not driven by having those or avoiding those. You don't care. It's like you're not sitting around like caring in the level. I mean, I'm glad you said that. It's not like, I'm worried about my gas tank. You do keep an eye on the gas tank, how much gas you have, but you don't sit and be absorbed by it. You know, you're not carrying every second, how much gas, how much gas, how much gas. And yet, when you get the right indicator, you take the right action. So, I got that. I'm not saying ignore your feelings. I'm not saying don't be informed by what like, when you're like running like crazy and stuff like that, at some point your body's telling you, you have no more oxygen, you should stop. And you do. So you're not sitting there making it wrong. It's just part of the game. You're informed by it right away. You correct right away, and you keep rolling. Does that make?
Yeah, thank you. What if you have a business, for example, and you start something and everything is going haphazard, so it's not going on your plan, and isn't that the feeling? So for me, when I feel really bad about it, I feel like, okay, I need to learn something from it. So I go deep into it. So the feeling actually helps me in a way. So I'm really confused about this. I mean, who is confused here? But
Okay, I didn't clarify it enough then. I didn't say don't learn from and be informed by your feelings. I'm saying like don't, maybe care was the wrong word, don't get fascinated by them. Don't have your life be about chasing a feeling or avoiding a feeling. When they come up, absolutely look and learn from them, move on.
Okay, thank you.
So it is on the same page. I probably could use a bit of better languaging on it. Yeah, just don't have, it's an invitation, by the way, nothing I say is the truth either. Invitation is try and see what life is like. If you're not worried at all about how you feel, you're just playing, and you will feel different ways. Like, oh, my hand is burning, it's on the stove. That's a feeling, and it's like, you should take it off. That's like, right? But so there is a value, absolutely. But it comes from, it's a different relationship. We've gotten, in my view, massively fascinated by feelings, and are trying to create our lives as a fortress against certain feelings and as a guarantee of other feelings, and I don't think that's going to give you access to living life fully. Let me say it that way. Okay?
One last question.
Sure.
So what makes what we're learning here, what makes this the truth? So this is also an illusion. So how do we know? So we don't know anything, basically. So we're just playing around here doing nothing.
My entire body of work in the last 25 years is based on two principles. One of them is we don't know anything, and the other one is we're full of shit. And that's, I'm not kidding, that's everything. I walk into the boardroom at Honeywell, they want to work with me, I say, these are my two principles. If you don't want to work with those, I'm out of here. That's how I start everything. That's it. We don't know anything, and we're full of shit, and okay, so now what? I don't know, let's have some fun. Why? Because we can. As far as I can tell. Yeah, it's like that. And I keep discovering, listen, all I discover is what I didn't know about the last thing. Oh, I used to think imagination was the best thing. Now I see, oh, I was full of shit. I didn't know at all. Oh, imagination is a limitation. I just keep discovering the next place. How I was wrong about this place. Right? So, you know, there's nothing, I already prefaced, I said, none of this is the truth. Try it out, see what happens. I can share with you, one of my things is not preaching, teaching, or informing. Be and share, be and share. So I'm going to share with you just what I've experienced. And you're called to try it on. People say, well, I notice I'm stuck here, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, I've done this work because I love the game of people living more joyful lives, of people being at the source of joyful life for themselves and others. Why? Just because I do. And the more I'm in line, apparently I'm going to do something while I'm here. My purpose is the rebalancing of the planet and whatever I can do towards that. And I don't have a reason either. It just resonates more than anything. And I might discover 5 years from now that won't be it. But even what I'm doing now is, maybe I'll share about it. The Sierra Nevada, like the heart of the planet. It's my one of the most important things in my life, maybe the most important project now, and I didn't even know existed 7 months ago. That's the cool thing of navigating from something and not know, it's so cool, it's ridiculous, and I didn't even know it existed, and I've done a lot of cool stuff in 25 years of this crazy shit. So I don't know. So none of this is the truth. It's like it's a possible way to look at things. Try it out. See if it gives you more of what you want than what you're currently doing. That's all you can do. You get what I'm saying? I have a thing, which is I've actually got totally grounded in this world of the nature of the earth as one organism. We're all cells, and I just have these visions and the clarity and about creating the balance and the wellness of that. And I'm like so fucking happy, and I'll want to do that every day till I die. And that's what I work on. Why? Because I do. I mean, it's so not complex, and it's just not about, it's so much easier when it's not about you. Holy shit. I'm like, why did I ever think about myself? It's so stupid. Do you know that you can't be unhappy without having attention on yourself? You know, like the most miserable state, you know when like your true love breaks up with you and you're like, oh, so miserable, you didn't kill me now, please, and like that, and you show it, and nothing you do makes you feel better, nothing, right? And you're like, I hate, you know, and then if I said to you, hey, I don't have my glasses, can you tell me what that sign says over there? For the 4 seconds that you're focused on the sign, you won't be miserable. Just reading a sign, damn it. Right? It's like, that's why stop working on yourself. What a relief. You don't have to work on yourself anymore. Play. Get out there and play. Do shit. Fail at it. Who cares? Play. Go. Do some stuff. And if you do it in service of others, it'll blow your mind where it takes you. I don't know what you'll have. Maybe you'll be sleeping on a park bench with nothing, but I promise you, you'll be fulfilled. So no, none of this shit is the truth. Everything I'm talking, I just made it up. And I already told you I'm wrong about everything. So it's your fault however this goes. But you see, say this, I'm going to say that you need to have a powerful relationship to these 3 things. Uncertainty, effort, and failure. You want to live life full on. From what I can tell, to live the kind of life that people say they want to experience more, those 3 things that you're avoiding are like the constraint. The avoiding of uncertainty, the avoiding of effort, the avoiding of failure. Over here, some of you I think have heard this before. I can't remember if I did, but over here, the most magical moments of your life. Just shout out some of those magical moments of your life. Oh, you haven't had any. Okay, we got to do something about this. Damn. Can we get me some new people? I'd be like,
yeah, if you want.
What? Birth of your child? Yeah, what else?
Falling in love.
Sorry?
Falling in love.
Falling in love, yes. Orgasms. Sorry? Skydiving. Now, if you look at some of the most magical moments of your life, everybody, how much certainty about the rest of life was there in that moment? None. None. You didn't even know where your next orgasm was coming from. Maybe you did, I don't know. But, right? In the moment. So guys, over here, in the counter of magic and living, of magical and joyful living, it's over at the uncertainty counter. Is that clear? Yeah. But you're doing all of your shopping at the certainty counter. Trying to get as much certainty as possible. Do you get that? So, if you just did less effort, you could have more magic. If you put less effort trying to get certainty, there would be more magic. Is everybody clear? There's just less on that, controlling it. Now, if you, in the world of, as far as I can tell, when I distill it down, there's 2 really parts of experience people want in life. A fulfillment, a deep one, like here, satisfaction, and the joy and magic, like these kind of different spaces, right? The fulfillment, as I was working on that, I was looking at people when they were experiencing fulfillment, and one of the things was the fulfillment required their full effort. Just like, for instance, if you like skiing, or if you, let's go, just, if you're a good skier on an easy hill, it's not fulfilling. Do you get that? If you can win 10-0 every time in the game, it's not fulfilling. You don't do that. If you're a good musician and you play with people who don't know how to play, it's not fulfilling. It doesn't take everything. It's not fulfilling if it doesn't take your full effort. So fulfillment is of your full effort. So another thing we're doing is we're shopping at the ease counter, easy over here. Well, fulfillment is over at the effort counter. You get that? It's not about not having any. I'm a big proponent and fan of effort. But it's about finding things that you want to put effort into, is the joy. Not about having, because when I do my workshop, because a lot of the stuff in this is, oh, come and do this workshop and you'll have total ease, everything will be easy. Don't do mine. Because it's about putting everything in. Having stuff you can't wait to get up and get into. People ask me like, hey, what do you think about that guy, the four-hour work week and stuff? I go, well, he's got some good techniques and ideas, but the premise for me is not sourceful. Because it means like, I have something I need to reduce to 4 hours because I hate it so much. Versus I have something I love so much, I want to do it every day. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, well, look at where we got. So over here, like, the joy in the uncertainty, fulfillment in the effort, right? And then we're trying to make things as easy as possible and as certain as possible, and we don't realize we're working against our own core intentions. Does that make sense? Just if you could see that, that would make a difference. And the nature of failure, and that's combined with those and not wanting to fail. But when you were a kid, and you're like, woo, yeah, all you had was uncertain. You didn't know shit, right? You didn't know anything, so everything was uncertain. And effort. You watch a little kid like go across the room, they're like running across the living room. They could just walk, but they're running. Right? Yeah, then watch a kid, they go, running, playing, running, and you're like, whoa, and then suddenly they're like dead. And then you pick them up and they're like spaghetti, and nothing will wake them up, right? They're not like not saving their energy for, oh no, I might be 16 once and I'll need my energy then. Like, what are you saving it for? Like, be used up every day. Be so exhausted you just pass out and go to sleep. Fuck it, we'll deal with tomorrow. Right? And then failure. When you're a kid, all you can do is fail in everything. Walking, riding a bicycle, reading. All you're doing is failing. You get that? You just don't have an issue with any of those things. You look at kids and you see all this energy. You can recapture that energy. You can have this massive shift of your energetic state if you stop resisting those three things. I'm going to say a little bit about the design of the going forward, just about 10 minutes. We'll take a little break, and then we'll do the session on actually getting in and designing, all right? So the nature, so if we take on the premise that there's nothing, like you wake up into this simple world, and then because you're bored, and don't have enough important, useful things to do, you paint this world with lots of complexities, and then you wrestle with those complexities all day, and then go to bed tired, and then tomorrow you do it again. So lots of all these different things, learn about how to have that shift versus, oh, let's just give you something else to focus on. It's only what you're creating. None of the stuff, even the stuff from the past, I got it. I have compassion for what happened and all of that stuff. But the thing is, that's gone. The impact of it today, you're creating that today. How do you know? Because sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get also reactivated by that thing, except that time when you didn't. Oh, that means it's because you're creating it. You're pouring energy into the I'm not saying it's not there. I'm not saying I don't understand. I totally get why you created it when you were 6 or whatever it was. You get that? I got all of that. You don't need it anymore. You can now create something else. So this is the thing. So if you actually, I don't have to work on myself. Don't have to handle anything. Just like if I put my attention on reading a sign or chasing that ball or even just yelling, playing Pictionary, suddenly all that stuff is gone, is it not? Here you are just playing a board game and you're laughing your head off, joyful, because all of your attention is on that. You get everybody clear? It's like, let's create the Pictionary game of life and just be laughing our heads off, yelling and screaming for the rest of our lives with our friends. Why? Because you can. You just haven't bothered to do it. And I understand why, because the environment says, no, you can't just have fun all the time. You need to be serious and work. And it's not really work if you're not hating it. Or things of that nature. I get that. I get that. But we could unsubscribe, hit the unsubscribe button to that, right? And create from a different place. And if you create and work into that future, you don't have to resolve any of that other stuff. It's just, where am I coming from now? It does take effort. Living with honor at the beginning takes way more effort, because you can't cut a corner. You don't sell out. You don't just do this for your own benefit. You may walk away from money because it just lacks integrity. You get that? It takes something to work, to live with honor. But then it takes more and more, and then suddenly it flips and it takes less. Because in the first, you're questioning, working, and then you go, fuck it, I'm never going to sell out again. And then it gets very peaceful. It's just your demand on yourself now and now and now, and to never live without honor. Are you willing to be the person that if you were in a movie, you're the hero in the movie, are you willing to be that person that you would cheer yourself on to be? You get what I'm saying? That's all it would. You don't get that? So the example is this. So I was, I had a friend that I was working with, helping him on his business in Atlanta. He'd built this business out of a previous workshop he'd done with me. He said, wow, I've got everything. I want to take it to the next level because I hit all my dreams. And so he had this one client that did 80% of his work. And he was having a lot of difficulty because now we did this next level. And the next level was about operate with the highest level of delivery, integrity. And he goes, I can't do that. I've been putting up with my liaison in the company is so difficult, and she makes difficult to do, and we can't even do half the quality work we could. Like, if they're happy with it, but now I really get, for myself, I want to do the best work, my own integrity. And so I said, here, try this and try this. None of it works. I said, okay, you need to go above her. I said, yeah, but that could jeopardize the contract. I could this, I could, she could sabotage the whole thing. I said, well, Christopher, it's up to you. You want to live with honor, or you can go, I'm going to go for the money, right? You go. Who knows what will happen, but are you willing? Are you willing to go, I'm not selling out, this thing lacks integrity, and even if it costs me the contract, and people go, that's insane, that's crazy. Yes, by the way, how you know you're living this life really well is that everybody says you're crazy. That's a good indicator. That people should, on a reliable basis, be saying you are crazy. So he actually went, and his partner, his husband, they sat together, they saw this and how much his husband makes, and he goes, you know what, we might lose the house because he just bought his dream house and built a pool and everything in the backyard. He goes, but he was like, oh, but I could not sell out, and it might cost us that, but I would not sell out. And he was just wavering, and I said, okay, Christopher, if you were the character in the movie right now, and you were watching the movie, what would you want to, what would you be cheering that character? What would you be cheering the hero to do? And we would cheer them, don't sell out, go for it! Now we do that when we go to movies, but then we go home and be full of shit, right? So I just said, if you were the character in the movie, what would you be wanting yourself to do? Does that make sense? And he was like, I'd be going for it, no question. I'd be going for it. I'd be like, fuck, in my integrity. And he went for it. He went above her, and it went really badly. And but here's the thing: it went really badly first. Like first of all, the moment he chose he was going for it, he said, I don't know if I've ever felt this alive. You that? How much is aliveness worth? Right? He was like, I don't know. I said, oh my God, he was so on fire. He's the happiest I've ever seen him. He was so on fire. It's like fucking, because the world didn't have him anymore. The world did not own him anymore. It's like, fuck it. I am going to stay true and be myself. And he didn't even care anymore. The contract, he was just going to say, he was so on fire. And it didn't go well, and he got kicked around, and he stood for it, and they coached him. And then it got kicked up beyond that person's superior to that person's superior. And then that person got into it and sorted it all out. And she's like, oh, that's what you wanted? You want to deliver work at higher? Okay. And they gave them 4 more years of work. But he didn't know he was going to get that. Does everybody get that? But it's, are you willing to stand there no matter which way it goes? Then, because the only person you definitely got to live with for the rest of your life is you. So, guys, I'm going to tell you, you're going to do whatever you're going to do with this, but take on getting clear who you are, living a life of honor, and just forget everything else. Like literally, just forget everything else. Your mind will be quiet. You'll go to bed peaceful, and you'll see all of the other stuff that we've been talking about. You'll still use it, but it'll be from not a space with noise in the background, just in a space of clarity. So you could say that what I'm talking about, we were laughing when we were in the jungle, and the elders were looking at, who the hell are you? Like, we're a bit of a weird pair. So I was just like, yeah, he's like kind of like the sky, and I'm like kind of like the earth. I'm just kind of like the dirt there, and he's like sky. So you could say, we're having a dialogue to create the environment here in the physical realm for that dialogue to have a fertile place. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's this space where we know that gets impacted by all the other stuff that's coming here. And it gives you a lack of ability to stay in tune with that. So I'm talking about you from the other side. All of it's the same. If you sliced it, you'd find the core of it, the source of it is all exactly the same. But this is about the world of creating an environment, the environment of the stuff that you do have to deal with day to day. What if you could create the environment inside of which that other work pristinely arose for you as a natural expression? So that's possible. Is that clear? Not clear? So there's the stuff that Bentinho was talking to you about, yeah? And it's all great, makes sense, and notice that very quickly you get knocked off it by the other stuff that's coming at you in your life. Yes? That make sense? Yeah. So then, this dialogue also is about how to, also the reorganizing and restructuring of your life such that your space is clean and aligned with that other dialogue, and it actually gives you like a more fertile ground and a much cleaner, quieter space for that dialogue for you to practice and express that. And you'll actually find it coming more naturally rather than with effort, because it actually is a natural expression. Because the thing, we both, Bentinho and I, we're actually saying the same thing, but from completely different spaces. Well, he's in this world of spirit, he includes on the physical. Well, I'm in the physical. They're actually not separate. In everything is everything. And we understand in the nature of some of the linearity that we're dealing with is great. Fine, let's give access, because the way it is the way that it is. So one way of looking at it is whatever you get up with, whatever your intention is what's giving your life. And if your intention is to wake up and prove that you're not good enough, you'll do that effectively. If your intention is to do your best to be validated by others and to avoid invalidation, you'll be scrambling around. You won't do it very effectively, but you'll make you crazy scrambling around. You'll put a lot of effort into it, yeah? And so the thing is not to get rid of any of those. The thing is just to be focused on something else, and then they don't exist. I so want you to get that, guys. It's just like this. Like when you're chasing the ball and you're skiing, you're playing with your children, you just have all of your importances on something else, and so those don't exist. You're playing music and you're just focused on something. So let's give you something to focus on in your life that not only displaces all those things, but is truly resonant with who you are. An intention to give your life other than those default intentions of just get by, or make sure that I'm approved of, or don't get hurt again. All these different intentions. I got them. I got it. That's fine. I got where they came from. And we can just choose something else and not work on those anymore. Okay? So the nature of it is this. All these different intentions, many people know this. I'm going to repeat it. What we discovered is the one type of intention that was fulfilling for people every single time was one that was of service to others. Every single time you know that you've made a difference in another person's life, you experience in that moment perfection, fulfillment, joy, love, connect, whatever it is, your version, but you know what I mean, yeah? So if every time you're of service, every time you make a difference, you feel totally joyful and fulfilled, if you want to always be joyful and fulfilled, why not? Then you'd always make a difference. Now, some of you heard this, but this is one of the most critical elements. It's not being a nice person, and it's not sacrifice. Okay, it's being of service. And as some people know, being joyful and healthy is not your goal from this methodology. Being joyful and healthy is just you must be, so you can be of service. It's like you must be in good shape so you can play on the World Cup team. Not, I'm going to play on the World Cup team so I get in shape. Right? It's like, the example I always use, it's like having a life so that you can be joyful is like having a car so you can put gas in it. Right? That's not the reason. And you have to put gas in it, otherwise it'll run out. And you have to be joyful, otherwise you'll run out. But why you're joyful? So you can be of service. If you make sure you're healthy and joyful, so taking care of yourself is part of being of service. But don't do it for yourself. Do it for your purpose. That will change everything. You get that? If you're struggling to get into shape, and suddenly you make a team you didn't think you could make, or you're like, not practicing, and then suddenly you get in a band that you wanted to be in, suddenly you'll start doing it, not for yourself, but for the band, for the team. Clear? I'm going to feel like waking up every 2 hours recreationally. It's a little tough, but when you have a baby that needs you, you do it. And so it's about getting a purpose in front of you that has you live your whole life. So that's, we're going to look at that, but we're going to look at it from these spaces, okay? And it's 4:36, so at 10 to 5? Yeah, let's get back at 10 to 5, and we'll dig in. Oh, no, hang on, guys. Let me leave you with a question, which is, your purpose is, one way of looking at it is, if you could give somebody the gift of any experience, if you could give anybody anything, or a way of being, if you could give action, what would make you the happiest, the most joyful, is to be able to give a human being what? So think about that, and we'll dig in when you get back, all right? Stewart. Oh. Oh, man. Come on, take your seats, everyone. Anybody not seated in 60 seconds will miss the answer to the universe. Oh no, and they always say, we're not doing it over, man. And we're erasing the recording. Because it's just now. Oh. Huh. Funny. What?
Oh my God, I manifested some shit.
See how easy that shit is? All right, guys. So, I think this is ultimately good news. I mean, if it is for me, from my perspective, right? One of the things that's really required for this, I think it's a real relief, is you have to give up all your pictures. Your pictures of how you think things should look. And I noticed in these dialogues, like the attachment that there is, and I see that, like, it's so, this dialogue that happened on the break. You know, I tell people about this funny thing about how when I start my business workshops, I'll ask people, what will make you happier, getting more or not wanting more? And people know, oh, not wanting more, that's the answer. But then, and then always somebody says, can't I have both? Always. And what you can see is all the ingrained attachment, the thing that has programmed us that more is what's, and people are afraid to let it go. People are afraid to let go of the picture, let's say. I'm just, just saying. And I get that. I get, like, everything that's been built into us and programmed into us and all of those different things. Like, about this is what it has to look like in order for you to be happy. And it's just like, and we're afraid of letting go of that picture because we're afraid that if we let go of the picture, we'll let go of our happiness, right? So I get that, and what I can tell you is that picture is one of the most destructive elements of your life. It has you be somewhere else and not present, and your attachment in it has you always living in fear. And getting used to that is one of the worst things of the developed world. Is like we're just, so what mostly people call happy is a relief from some of our stress and fear. It's not what I'd call deep joy. Do you get what I'm saying? So, and if you're willing to take this on, to be aware of your picture and let it go, the other side of it is a tremendous release of weight and burden. Oh, I don't have to get there anymore. And that's really great, because the only time you can be joyful, fulfilled is now. Not later. Now is the only time that that can happen. So it's a good thing that you don't have to get anywhere. It's funny, a couple of examples of attachment to picture, and then also like just the now is kind of funny. Like in our culture, my mom's so funny, like she's still, you can't be happy, why? Because you're not married. I haven't found a girl for you. And I say, no, Mom, my wife is ridiculous. I was here, I was in this place and that place, and I know, but you can't be happy because this is the structure, right? In India, you must, and she's so funny because it's so real for her. She can take any conversation into, like, I'm not kidding. No, listen, look, again, my sister some years ago had breast cancer, recovered, and then every year goes for a test to make sure. So I sent my mom an email going, how was her test result this time? My mom's one teeny thing about that, and then this, like, oh yeah, her test was fine. She's still clean. And the thing is, she's also single and she's alone, and she has to go through this alone. So you don't want to have to go through life. And she's turned my sister's cancer test into, I need to find you a girl. But like that's the picture. You get that? Like that's, and I'm and it's just so funny. She's so cute. Oh man. But it's fun. It's a good example of watching your view is your view, and you'll turn everything towards your view. Yeah. That's why it's good to let go of it, because then you can't see the world. You can only see your world. So keep getting. So wow, there's all this stuff I believe in. I think, oh, let it go. So it's going to be hard to see without letting go of your picture. If you got your picture, you just keep looking at your picture. In those most magical moments of your life, you weren't looking at your picture, right? You weren't looking at that house or that place. You weren't looking at that car. You weren't looking at that when you were really joyful. You were where you were, right? There's two things. You weren't looking at your picture, and you weren't on your phone. It's good to just remember that too, right? None of those magical moments. I was giving birth to my child, and I was on my phone. No. Probably you were not on your phone in those magical moments. So the release, and this requires, what we're going to talk about requires no picture. Now, there's something that I've been working on. I don't have a better name for it right now, so I'm just going to say it exactly what it is, which is called stop making the opposite wrong, is my thing, right? So often, people will learn, I say this is about uncertainty, and they go, oh, and then they make certainty wrong. No, that's not making it wrong. And they go, this is about no vision. No, it's not visions are wrong. It's just how to apply them. See that? So I'm going to go into some work, but before I go into it, I want to say so people go, it's being, not doing. So they make doing. Doing isn't wrong. It's just where's it coming from? Is everybody clear? Yeah. So as I go into these, don't watch yourself getting into the opposite, right? Like that. So certainty and uncertainty, you want to really live in a space of uncertainty. You want to accelerate it. And there are certain things, like have certainty about your food and shelter. Like have your basics. Like when you're on the playing field, here's the certainty, here's the rules, allows for the game of uncertainty, who's going to win and how it's going to go. But there's no game without certain elements. Does everybody get that? So but the thing is, what you need certainty about is way lower, less than you think. And then the rest of it is play. Twice in my life, I've given away everything I have. I've given away all my money, all my stuff. Right now, I just have the 2 bags that I have with me. That's everything I own, and a motorcycle back in Canada. And I've never felt better. It's like so freeing, right? And you just don't, it's so little that you need. And I'm not saying people should do that, but it's like, it's amazing. And I purposely, actually, after I gave my money away, only worked just enough to pay for what I need to do. I get more work if I want, and it's like, I love it. It's like the urban equivalent of living off the land. You know, you don't keep accumulating stuff in your backpack. You just take what you need and you know, pick what you need when you need it, and then it's just like in your presence. So and that's not making stuff wrong. It's just be conscious of, I have only what I really use and create life with. And you have kids, and you'll need more. Yes, you'll need, you know, some rooms and toys and beds and things like that. But you're nothing unconscious. Don't have anything in your space that you don't really use well and joyfully and create life with. And if you need a lot of things, because a lot, that's fine. But then nothing that's dead, because literally what you have that you don't really use and create with creates unconsciousness and deadness. It reduces your life aliveness. So, let go of the picture, stay true, and see where that takes you. It requires letting go of the picture, and I'm saying this because, and when I say this, and that doesn't mean, like, when I say people create a vision, doesn't mean a vision is wrong. You can have goals and visions, but you use them to get started, and you let them keep moving dynamically. It's the attachment that destroys things. But where you're coming from, if you keep coming from there and you keep coming from there, you go, oh, I need to modify the vision. Right? And you use it still, you use it, it doesn't use you. You get that? You use it, it does not use you. You want to be the source of you, not something, anything else. Right? Not anything outside of you. So, the question is, getting a cut at your calling, the intention with which to design your life is, when I'm of service to others, when I am contributing to others, making others' lives better, I'm so fulfilled. Okay, that's general. And I discovered that each person seems to have their own unique contribution. And will the same words come up with different people? Yeah, don't worry about it. Yours is yours, and if it's somebody else, that's absolutely. And even words are only a descriptor of something. So it's that, and when you see this come alive in another human being, in that moment you experience total completeness of existence. After now doing this work for a number of years, I have just a theory or an observation, especially now with my time in nature and watching the models. I actually think that it's a biological design of humanity. It's not even mental, spiritual, whatever, this world of, because we're designed to pursue fulfillment. What fulfills us is being of service. And if we were in a community of this many people, you don't have to worry about, it said, take your attention off yourself. You don't have to worry about yourself. You have 350 people delivering their calling to you, as you are to every other person, and then you start to have a spiral up phenomena, just the way things grow in nature. And I just think it's really clear for me now, as watching and observing and creating small bodies of, and doing it in organizations and businesses, and what starts to happen. So, hey, if we have a microphone, and maybe I'll have a couple of people come up. Let me have some come up, and let's look at. Some people have done some of this work, some have not. But let's do a couple of people. Let's see, get at least a first cut at your calling. So who wants to come up? Okay, come on up. You want a chair? Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, Carl. Yeah. Oh, all right. I didn't say you go next. Come on, grab a seat.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, the words that we come to are not important. It's what's important is that you connect with something, and whatever words happen to be the pointer for you, right? And that will usually the first time we don't get it. You get the feeling and experience of it, and you still struggle a little bit with the articulation. It's not important. Important is the world of that intention. Getting connected with it, and then number 2, organizing your entire life around the fulfillment of it. So, if I were to ask you a question then, and I'm committed that it gets like just really simple, right? It's just a very simple phenomena. And so which is what would make your heart sing the most? What would make you so joyful and fulfilled if you could leave or people with what impact or what experience? You would love to see what happened in human beings.
Well, I had one yesterday, actually. I think a few people were there. I just grabbed my guitar and I started playing some of my own written songs. And I really saw that it ignited that light in others too. So that, yeah, that's an amazing feeling.
Right. What is?
Seeing that the message reaches other people's hearts just as much as my own. Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is to get your attention off yourself. Right? So we're not looking at what was the amazing feeling where you were, or are you looking at what was happening over there that produced the amazing feeling where you are?
Well, to me, music is also life, you know. It's like a meditation. It's like every word and every melody I just feel in that moment so much. And it's that natural high, like that blissful state. That is, yeah, I
Right.
want it.
But what if we have no attention on how you feel, and we have no attention on music? See, music is a vehicle, it's a carrier. But what if you couldn't play music? You wouldn't go, oh, I guess my life is screwed. Which, by the way, some people do. And the reason is because they're not at the source of their life. They make the calling is who you are. And it's something you can generate through many mediums, music being just one of them. But getting your calling has you not trapped in any physical phenomena. This is where you can now separate from the physicality and linearity of life.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, you know, you say don't have a picture, that was no picture at all. That just really hit me because I also am sometimes in that state where I'm like, so this is, you know, what I grew up with, and for a long time I forgot about it. But then it somehow found me again.
All right, good. So, then let's stop talking about you.
Sorry.
No, but I mean that. But guys, this is normal, right? Because that's our reference point. And you have to time the practice in your reference point. Life is way more exciting when it's not about you. It's just so much more interesting. The rest of the world is way more interesting than you are.
And in the end, it is to, you know, serve humanity, and that's what I started.
Yeah, but forget it. But you can't say like a bunch of nice words either. We're going to do something different than that. No. We're not doing a beauty pageant here. It's just like that. Wow. So, no, but guys, listen. This is going to be the straight thing, or it's going to be nothing at all, right? So forget all the bullshit that you're about to say, and actually feel into, like, you know what? With my whole heart, I love seeing people in this, having this experience, or feeling this, or this. Just tell me what comes to mind. You could say 10 words, you could say 2 phrases. It's just like, wow, I love it when people are. Just answer that.
When people are happy, when I can make them happy with my songs.
Not say again, but that's fine. I got that. And it starts like that when I can make. But take the I can. It's just when people are. See, the thing about the calling is it's so not about you that it doesn't. When it is your calling, if it is people being happy, like we would say it like this: my calling is that people experience happiness, right? Or people being happy. Now, it's not I making it, it's that people, now when it's your calling, if you see somebody being happy over there and you didn't have anything to do with it, you're still like, oh, yes, gotta change my underwear, that's so good, right? But it's like, you're just like fulfilled because that is you. That is that is your resonant frequency. You could watch it on YouTube, you could see it over there. Whether you actively did it or not, that is yourself manifest in the world. And who I am is happiness. You get that? And it's you doing it. You work at it all the time. You fail. You succeed in creating happiness and joy. And when you see it, it's like, yes, you feel it like 100% as if you did it, because at some level you did, because it is the resonant frequency you bring to the planet. And it just doesn't need the linearity of you, I did anything. It's simply who you are. And when not that is happening around you, you act not because of doing, but it is who you are is it. Who you are not is not that. Like you're not happy, and therefore you respond. And so it's a state of grace that you fall into. And you're willing to, that's an area you'll put a tremendous amount of efforts into because you love it. And even if you fail, you love the game of it. You get your calling at the beginning. You have to be willing to be with the discomfort of a new incompetence. You have to stumble with it and mesh with it. But you don't care, because if you love playing a game, you keep playing it, win or lose. Mine is that people experience source. They're at the source of things. And I don't get it done sometimes, but I gave it everything I had every time. You know, get this, give it everything you got, go to bed. I'm kidding, not kidding, it's like that. I've taken actually 25 years of lots of work, some complex, some simple, and I think some people have heard this, but I just have two things for you for all of life, is have enough and be awesome. And if you just do those two things, everything will be ridiculous. You literally don't need anything. We could leave here right now. If you just put out, make sure you have enough, which is way less than you think, and then be awesome. Be awesome with others and yourself, and just do that, and literally we can stop all this shit and go home. However, you won't have it be that simple, so we'll do a little more work. So let's look and see. So let's start with that, right? So you love seeing people happy, right? Does that light you up? Yeah?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
There's no of course. There's really no, I mean, I got that, and no of course to it, because it's different for different people, right? And partly is because I want to make it a little bit, not make it like serious, but I do want it to be more profound than just an of course. I want it to be something that you're like really clear, and you don't take it for granted, and it's not just of course, this is truly who you are. So this a really quick test is that if you actually could see that everywhere you went, you left people happier than when you got there. Whether you were playing music, whether you were doing anything else, whether you were just, you know, whatever it was that you were doing, you left more happiness behind you than when you arrived. What would that be like for you?
That's my life already, basically, because I'm also a teacher, and I love making the kids happy. And that's
Still not what
job.
I'm talking about.
Well,
I got that.
what would that be like?
Yeah.
That was
well,
the
here's the deal.
question.
But here's it. You know what? I promise you, you're not present to 90% of the time where you're not doing that.
I'm not present 90%?
Of the time where you're not doing that.
I'm not doing it. No, it's effortless. It is.
I'm not getting this across. Okay, well, let me tell you, what do you want to find out in this dialogue? What do you want to access?
What I want to ask?
What do you want to access? What did you come up for?
What do I want to access?
Yes.
So I was quite, I'm sometimes confused, and confusion is good because in the end,
Yeah, stop saying a lot of good positive shit and just tell me what's going on. You know when
so
you do that?
At times I'm confused and I don't know who am I. You know, we all ask our questions: who am I, and what is?
You guys know what I'm talking about? Once you've done a certain number of courses, then you always say the right shit just like that, so you don't look whatever that is. Just stop that and be authentic. Say what you're dealing with and struggling with, right? And be open. It's just like that. It's like trying to hide the flat tire because it'll look bad that people see you have a flat tire. Okay.
So am I really this picture, or is it the picture that the society or my surroundings created for me?
Yeah, well, the thing is this, right? So one of the things in this dialogue, you're not present. Never once have you ever answered the question that I've asked you. Do you know that? It's not good or bad, I'm just saying. So I'm asking you these questions so I can get present to...
You talk really fast too, sorry.
Yeah, but if you actually cared, you'd say, sorry, I didn't get that question. Could you ask it again?
Can you ask it again?
I didn't ask a question just now. That's what I'm saying. You're not present in the conversation.
I'm quite nervous as well.
That's fine. But then what are you up here for?
What am I up here for?
Yeah, what did you come up for?
Because you pointed at me to come here.
Actually, I pointed at her.
You pointed at her?
Yeah. I said, who wants to work on their calling?
Do you want her to come
Well,
here?
I'm willing to work with you. I'm just asking what, then if you want to work on it, like I said, what do you want to access in this conversation? So when you said, I'm sometimes confused about who I am, this is an access to answering that. But you have to like let go of all your positive speak, and everybody say, well, what would it be like if you did this? And you go, I'm already doing that. That didn't answer my question. I said, what would it be like? And then so this is all of the, you have to watch how much of your dialogue is about validation of self and the avoidance of invalidation. So you have to get out of something. So if you actually want impact in this conversation, you know, one of the things that Bentinho talking to people, like, we'll say a particular topic, and you're here for growth, right? And we'll say something, people go, oh yeah, I already do that here and here. Who cares? If you want growth, tell me where you're not doing it. You know, why are you even telling me that? Oh, just only could be to give validation. If you want to grow and you're hungry for that, you'd say, here's where I'm not. Because there's no judgment here. It's like, but what do you want to work on, not what do you want to validate about where you're already at. So, one thing of what a calling is to actually get what is the resonant frequency of yourself, which is one way of saying it, or is to get who you are, or to get what your life is for. Right? And so, and it is a phenomena which, it's an intention, which when fulfilled with another human being, leaves you totally whole and complete with yourself. Whether you're actually getting it, you fulfill it, working on it, it's just who you are. And then when you are that, nothing else needs to happen. You actually don't need life to look a particular way. You don't have a picture because it's just the fulfillment of this. And one access to that is the answer to the question is more than anything, at a very profound level, not an intellectual level, what would move you to total completeness is that if you saw that what arises with another human being. And almost all, but it's not always, but almost always the first answers come from our head, and we have to work our way down to the heart. And it always takes longer in these groups because you've done a bunch of work, so you're smart rats and you have a bunch of good words to say. I don't mean that badly. It's just, you know, when we've done the work, we've learned stuff, and we have like that, and so it's like, oh, you know, what suddenly literally alters your existence and your energy right now? What would you, more than anything, would you just love? And you just start talking. I'd love to see this. What would you love to see in another human being? More than anything, what would make you... Or here, let me ask you a different question. Think of a time in your life where you were really moved. Like really moved. Can you think of a time? What was it? What was going on? Describe it to me.
So I never knew my biological father.
Uh-huh.
And so my mom met whom I call my father now at the age of 6, and they stayed together for 10 years. And even after they separated, he recognized me and my brother as his children. You know, it was like a marriage. Mm-hmm. So that really touched me that, you know.
What was that experience like? What were you feeling? What was...
Love.
Love.
Lots of love.
Yeah. You see how much more present you are? Do you see that, guys? See, the real you just showed up. You hear that? Now, what if your life was about... that there's a reason that moment stands out, because there's something resonant, powerful for you. So what if, just possibly, what if that your calling, your purpose in life is that people experience that? What would that be like for you?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you can feel that in your body.
Sorry?
You can feel that. You can feel that energy,
Yes.
the energetic shift in your body. Yeah? So everybody, I'm not listening for the words that are coming out. I'm listening that as the words are talking, where does that energetic shift happen? Is that clear? And then you show up. And your head has a bunch of, it's so funny, but it's like this, like I was doing one in Colombia, and there was this young man, and he wanted to create this, and he's creating a financial service business. He wanted to help people achieve their vision. I said, what is your, like, people experience power, people, and he just kept saying it, it's just like this, and it was that first intellect, and he was really funny because, you know, he knows himself as a big, strong, macho guy, and then we did this work and stuff like that, and it came through, and he also like, and then suddenly he kind of melted, and he said, love. And then he realized, he said, no power, like, right? Like, you know, like his like little safe space in his head and what he thought. And we've built something around ourselves. You guys see that? I got it. I understand the layers of it and stuff like that. But if you stayed in touch with that and you imagined that your purpose, your calling, who you are, is that people experience love or people experience being loved, just whatever. And those are just words, but whatever that was, if you organize your life around that people experience that, and if you became effective that in everything you did, even the person you bought the water from at the counter or everywhere, is that's what you came from. That'll take you wherever it takes you, but that will give you an existence that's beyond what's imaginable. Get that?
Yeah, and that was what I was trying to say at the beginning, very beginning.
Okay. Don't add anything to that right now.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Love, light.
No, stop saying all that. See, you were this totally present, and now you flip back into validation mode. You can see the difference, everybody? You don't have to do that. And I got it. You're up here in front. I totally acknowledge the courage it takes. I got all of that. And even then, you got to go, fuck it. I don't care. You just don't need to do that. Don't sell out on yourself. Don't, you know, it's like, and so practice that moment. Practice. And if you need to, use an anchor, like remembering that experience and go, wow, my life's about, whatever I want to call that, my life's about how do I bring that to others? How do I create an environment of that for others? Whether it's the children, like there was this doctor from New York I was working with. I mean, he was in his 60s, and he got, my calling is that people experience being loved. And he's like, wow, and he made it real. And he goes, honey, he calls his wife, this is my calling, so you have to tell me when you're not experiencing being loved. And he told his children, and you know, in his work, he's like just making sure every single person experiences being appreciated and loved. And he's so happy. Like, he does not care where it's going. You got that? He's just doing it now, and he's just so alive. Because that's all he's focused on now, and because that's who he is. And he's like focused on that, and then it's taking him wherever it's taking him. So if you actually, if you go, wow, I had that experience. How do I get it across? Well, you actually have to work and think, wow, how do I create that for people? Good, that's something. How about developing yourself in being yourself? Because we've been taught, in fact, to be lots of other things. So yes, there's effort involved, right? Effort. But that's okay. Effort and some failure at it, but go back to that. Be willing to be moved. What if you actually lived like you were moved every single day? Oh, wow, what a terrible thing. You won't have room for a picture of the future because you're so blown away by right now. You're actually moved by your life. You know what it's like to actually be moved, even to be like, to have love for yourself, because you're moved like by who you are. In a manner that has zero arrogance or self-indulgence to it. Lots of things are possible. So the invitation as we continue is to consider that that's the world of your calling. That's who you are. Is that people experience that which has so impacted you, and that, like the one that stands out. Why? Because it stands out because it's true to who you are. And not like love and light, and no, that we're the person you were in that moment when you were sharing that. You that? Don't pop up here, no validation, and you don't need an excuse or justification for this is who you are. This is who you are, and fuck everybody who doesn't like it. All right? Thanks. Yeah. Hang on. Is it a question or? Yeah. Do we? Oh, you got an, okay. Thanks.
Quick question.
Yes.
You keep saying calling in regards to people, you know, what people can experience.
Yeah.
Does it have to be about people? What about animals?
Yes and no. You want to start with people, but when you get it, it's just, consider the world as one organism, and we're just cells in the organism, right? The thing is that we're so in this world over here, it's the best reference point to start. But if you go that my calling is that people experience love, if you actually once you start to get it, you'll just get that your purpose is love, and there is no difference. People, trees, grass, Trump.
So I could say my purpose is loving animals?
No, because then why are you getting rid of people?
Helping people love animals?
Nope. See, everywhere you're coming from is an intellectual fix of something wrong or missing. Because it's all linear. It's like that. There's something it's about animal. When you actually get it, you'll actually just get this is who you are. And it includes everybody. If she practices that, she'll just be love, and you don't actually focus love. You just are it.
Okay, so when you say people, you're
I'm using
meaning
it as
all inclusive.
Yeah, we're using it people because it's the easiest place to start that makes the work. But it's not animals either. It's just who you are. If it's joy, it's joy. I'll share it another time when there's time, if there is, about time in the Sierra, about feeling the living essence of everything. Everything that you have as a barrier to your existence has been created in the world of people. So we're going to start there in the world outwards. They're all a bunch of mental constructs. If you were just out there, whereas we meet with the Kogi and these mamos who they're so incredibly respected, and you realize why the training that they go through. They live in the dark for the 7 years of their life, being taught all this lore, and then they go and experience it. I mean, it's incredible. And you experience the essence of life in that bush, so it's not even animals. Then you're excluding 98% of other living things. It's life.
That was helpful.
But we're going to start here because this is what's active. If I go on all of that, people go all over the place, and I want you to focus to get it. When you get it, then it expands. Okay? Thanks for the question. Yeah. All right. Welcome. So guys, first thing is getting your calling, and then the next thing is redesigning your life to fulfill your calling. And this is the part where I go back to how I started, is you're so completely full of shit, you have no intention of doing any of this work. Because if you did, you'd walk out of here and you'd move and you'd rearrange your life and you'd sell shit and you'd get a different job or you do whatever, right? So people get it, and they want it to change their life without having to change anything. And that's so fucking weird. It's like people, oh no, this is hard. No, it's not. You decided you wanted to be an engineer. You moved to a different town. You went to university. You did different things every day, like going to courses for 4 years. You had no trouble moving in order to be an engineer or to be, you know what I'm saying? You did all of that. But in order to be your calling, you don't want to do anything. I don't get it. Just as a warm-up for later. Anyways. Are you listening from, I'm going to design my life? Like, you go, I want to get who I am, it's so important. Good, you get who you are, and then you don't line up your life to be consistent with that. It's like right now, your life is an expression of something, right? Of lack, beliefs, or other things, right? And then, so how could you get something about who you are and not change all of that? But really it's just nonsense if you're not going to do the work consistent with the insight. Insight, getting your calling is useless. Living it is what makes a difference. It's one thing I discovered through lots of experimentation. No matter how useful, I've created all sorts of stuff, and no matter how useful what you think you have is, if nobody's using it, it's useless. Learning it makes no difference. Zero. None. No, it does make a difference. It makes you more irritated Because you learn it and you don't apply it, you make yourself even more wrong. Sorry. Learning it does make a difference. Sorry. All right. And on that positive note, let's, do you have an idea of what your calling is?
I have got an idea.
What's that?
I've got an idea.
Okay. Tell me what you think. What is it you love? What makes your heart sing the most? Leaving people with what? Or impacting them how?
Making them experience that they don't have to be afraid of death.
Afraid of?
Death.
Death. All right, good. So the first ones, while not the calling, are always an access to it because they came up for a reason. Almost always, there is our calling, and then in our life, we've experienced certain things which are barriers to the calling, and so taking those on, we think are our calling because they're an access to it. Let me say that as simpler. So that people no longer experience the fear of death. Why? Because why that's important to you is because them being afraid of death is a barrier to what?
To enjoy life.
Oh, good. So that's what you really want for people, right?
Yes.
Is to enjoy life.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Oh, two different things.
To live fearless.
Okay, oh, interesting, yeah. But do you get the difference in those flavors, guys? So not being afraid of death isn't your calling. It's one of the vehicles that you use to fulfill your calling. Let me just say it like this. Let's just go to, do you really love the people enjoy life?
Yes.
You do, don't you? Yeah, like you smile when they did it, yeah. Now, there are a lot of different, now what if somebody is not afraid of death and that's not a barrier to them enjoying life, but something else is a barrier to them enjoying life? Would you want that to be removed as well?
Yes.
Yes. Did you get that right? So one of the things, whether it's a calling or not, the core commitment is people enjoying life. And it's really important to get this because otherwise we make the pathway, one pathway into our calling. And it's not really the calling, it's just a pathway that you've gotten interested in. But there's something behind it because your calling is what gives you life and it brings life. And if your calling is that people enjoy life, then you can bring your calling to, like I said, buying water at the store, making that person more alive just from your enjoy selling you water, even if you didn't talk to them about death. Or you're going to have a conversation about death with every single person you meet. Hang on, my calling is to make sure you're not afraid of dying, so you know about people behind you are lining up, move it, lady, come on. So, but do you get the difference? Right? So it's important to you, so yes, you'd love for people to be fearless and to not be afraid of that thing, also not be afraid of the thing, but why is that even, the question is, the first thing's on your mind, why is that important? Because it gives access to what? To people enjoying life. Now, if you were having your life organized around, if you were effectively everywhere you went, what you brought was elevating people's ability to enjoy life, what would that be like for you?
Makes me uplifting. I see so many people around me that live with a lot of fear, and that's full out.
Okay, good. Again, though, I've got to keep having you get away from that fear conversation. But the full out conversation is useful. Because why you want to take on their fear is so they can live life full out. Right? Yes or no?
Because life's precious. And
okay. Yes. Sorry, I'm just looking at it. So we have enjoying life, the preciousness of life, living life full out. Do you get that? That's the world of what's important to you. Yeah. Fear is only one of the barriers to that. It's the opposite, and you don't want to get over there. That's that. The thing is, why is that even important to you? Because it's a barrier to what really makes your heart sing. But you want to only focus on what makes your heart sing. is that people are celebrate how precious life is, that they're living full out and enjoying life completely, yes? Doesn't that make you really happy? Right? You see people just completely savoring in the preciousness of life, yes? Right? See how happy you are? Yeah, so you feel that. Isn't that much more interesting than fear?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it could be that simple. Now, the thing is, if you are going to take on that, wow, what my life is about is people savoring and enjoying and fully enjoying every precious moment of life, then you have to go, and if my life is about that, as opposed to being a doctor or teaching piano or whatever it is, then you actually have to do work to make your life about that. What are you going to do with your time? Where are you going to live? Like, you guys, there's the physical changes to make, things to learn. Wow, you know what? I realize I think I'm going to learn more about what has people's barrier. You might actually go. You might say, I'm going to learn about, and given that, the thing is I do have this profound interest in fear and stuff, I'm going to go learn more about people's fears and how to break through them. And I'm going to absolutely, I can get as throwing yourself into that, but never forget what it's about. And you actually start to go, what am I going to do with my life? And you may quit, or you bring it to everything you do in a day, right? You may go, every day I go to work in that office, I'm going to make sure everybody, until they fire me, yes, too bad. But no, but you actually, so the one thing is you may change everything that you do, or you may change how you do everything that you are doing, or some combination. But if those changes aren't happening, this is a useless insight. But man, you love people like really enjoying all of life, don't you? Yeah. So like be an expert at that, be a master of that, be an ambassador of that, be a proponent of that, and see where that takes you. Okay? Thanks. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes? Question? So hang on there, because we only have 15 minutes left, and also I want to lay a few things in, and then, I don't know, we'll talk to Bentinho if we do some more of this or whatever the next couple of days. Or you can talk to him. So what I want you to know is that it's simple, and you can do this work with each other. Don't do it yourself, because you notice how easy it is to see when somebody's not there? It's not hard. So do it with others. Don't get into arguments when they say, no, that's not there, because they're feeling it or they're not feeling it. You get that? You're using others because you can't trust yourself, right? You're like, man, if I was like your mother, I would say, don't hang out with you. You're a bad influence. Don't hang out on your head like that. You go play with some criminals or something because you're just, right? You're bad for you, right? So the thing about it is, we'll explore this, and we can get into some more over the next couple of days, and so it takes a bit of time, and but if you took on, regardless of I don't know the word, but I can actually tell, like, you just love people who are really enjoying life, and if you go, wow, that's what my life's going to be about, and if you woke up every morning going, how do I make that happen, focusing on that instead of what I'm afraid of, or what irritated me, or all of the things that are in the way of my enlightenment, if you just focus on that, right, it gives you that. And by the way, when I say like that people really enjoy life, that includes you. Notice you're included in people. You are a people. So you take on the mastery of it yourself as a space from which to share that with others. So you look, wow, what about my life is inconsistent with that? You become intolerant of not that. That's the place to start. The place to start is with the intolerance, the lack of tolerance. Like if you're going to be a professional musician, you have an intolerance of not practicing and playing. Right? So whatever it is that you're going to do, if you're going to be a professional yourself, you can pay yourself to be yourself. Maybe that'll help. That's a good thing. We should, yeah, because you won't do it just because you should. You know you should. So maybe you should hire yourself and pay yourself to be yourself. I like that, because then maybe you'll do it, or you'll get fired. I'm not saying, I'm trying to help here, but what'll help you be more reliable, that's all. Because it's your job, you have to. Now you say get your calling and then pay yourself to be your calling. But it takes, takes that, then you focus on that, and you become, you want to start with, like again, the insight is useless. You actually go, okay, this is important to me. This is important. It's like if it was important for you to learn to play the piano or to get fit or to make sure your children are fed, you will take actions consistent with that. You'll have a whole new set of actions that don't currently exist. You'll design your life from the fulfillment of your calling, becoming, having that be your existence, becoming actually better at bringing that to humans by doing different things than what you're doing, or how to do that through what you are doing, or a combination of the two. But if there's not actually an exploration, if you're not actually in a dialogue of, wow, what are the things I'm going to rearrange in my life? Just like you would if you were going to do anything, right? You're going to go away to university or learn a trade or whatever. You're going to go and do that. You don't just expect to come to a workshop, learn about it, and go, oh, I'm a doctor now. Let me, come on. Yeah. Like, who would you, I think surgery. Yes, I'm going to do surgery, yeah. No, if you want to have competence, if this is actually important, if it's important for you, you're going to do work. And I'll tell you this. This is what ultimately this is about. This is about living an aligned life. It's about living a life where you are aligned, true to who you are. And when you line up, man, it is so different. Like if you know what a flywheel is, it's like a wheel, it's like spinning. And if a flywheel, like if you go off just a little bit, even 1 degree out of alignment, it goes ka-chunk, ka-chunk, it's not. And if it lines up, then it spins so well. You want to put all your effort into alignment and none of it into destination. Live with incredible honor with who you are. Make having people experience that love the most important thing of your life. And then what you do, you could talk about the medium, right? When you're an artist, you could be an artist in different mediums. So this is in the art of living, there are different mediums. There's your purpose. Okay, I'm going to have people experience this. And there's the mediums through which you're going to deliver it, whether it's as a teacher or as a musician or, as a doctor or whatever it is, as a mother or whatever you get that, the medium is then, and you'll find that there are your mediums. And there's an interesting thing, like I was working with this guy from Toronto who had built an $80 million business and he was miserable and he couldn't figure it out. And he even had done something that was really made a difference. He figured out a way to have small family farms be able to compete and sell in the grocery compared to the big Monsanto and all that stuff. And it's an amazing idea, and he did this, really made a difference, and he's still miserable. He couldn't figure out why. So we realized that his mediums, the things that he loses himself in, the things that he loves, right, are research and design, coming up with new ways of doing things, teaching people, and and elevating them, a few different things, right? And how when he started his business, that's what only thing he was doing. Once the business hit past $20 million, he was not doing any of those. He was doing management, CFO meetings, you know what I'm saying? And so even it was successful because then I work with another guy. He actually caught that and he actually hired a CEO and went back to just design, right? And then he was really happy. But the thing is so it's here's what my purpose is, and here's the mediums. Here's the mediums through which I would love to bring this to the world. And you have to watch this one because some of them are ideals and pictures that you inherited. And for a lot of people, I often tell them, go and try lots of things because a lot of us have had a very narrow existence, being taught this, this, and this, and we've only experienced a few different things. So for a lot of people, it's great if you can actually explore and just relax. Life's not going anywhere. Try a bunch of stuff and see, wow, hey, sometimes you stumble across something and you love it. And you go, wow, I didn't even know this existed. Right? So here's a purpose, and then here's the mediums. Here's the things that I love, I lose myself in. Here's some things I have some curiosity about. I'm going to try them and see if they're mediums that I enjoy, right? The vehicles through which I fulfill my purpose in the world. And when you do that, and you start to come from there, I would say it like this, one level is people not being that clear about what outcomes or visions or goals and kind of organizing from there, or their goals that come from poor places. Another thing is they actually getting more competent at creating an intention and organizing to fulfill like an intention, but not like a vision, not like a purpose. But the highest level is just coming from intention and fulfilling it now, and see where that takes you. Truly, there's a thing like Charlie Bird Parker said about when they said, how do you become a great jazz musician? He said, you play the scales over and over and over and over again, and then you throw it all away and wail. So actually get good at the integrity of your existence, following through, like the basics, and then has a foundation on that. Get out, create, play, see where it takes you. Give up the picture of what it should look like. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk a little bit, Ben and I, about our visit, because it's one of the most remarkable things to the Sierra, the jungle in Colombia, right, where it's the heart of the planet, and the dimensions that's adding to our work, what it is, which actually has really validated and deepened this aspect of the work more than anything, because all they do is they fulfill their purpose of the caring of the earth, and everything comes from there. And the simplicity and the joy and the clarity with which they live is truly remarkable. And what's cool is that none of their existence is derivative from this one. Like almost everything we do, even the solutions, even the workshops, everything, there's a limitation of them, which we're trying to break out of, because they're all derivative, they're derived from this world. So they kind of keep this world in place. And what's cool is being there is that is a world that is completely, arisen, it's been the same for thousands of years, and has no derivative from this world. So it's like being physically out of the matrix completely. It's very cool. And what's cool is, the part about I liked it a lot was that there's a lot of things that I looked at from over there that I was, oh yeah, this, get rid of this, and then this part right here that we're talking about is the part that not only stayed, but even got clearer and more refined. It's just that simple. This is who you are. Don't have anything in your life that's not about this. It'll have you change people, relationships, places where you live, like that. You have a choice. It's up to you. You'll either do it or you won't. At any given moment, you'll have a decision, a fork in the road. Purpose-based, avoiding discomfort. Purpose, avoid discomfort. Purpose, avoid, your call. At any given second. All you need to do is keep making that call. Like I said, if you were the hero in the movie, what would you want to see that you did? Keep making that and let it take you where it does. And I would say the most foundation element that I've been working on right now with people more than anything is trust of self. Underneath it all is the trust of self. If you actually just really got who you were, you would have no concerns. See, no matter what you say right now, no matter your fears, one of the most common issues we have in the developed world is that we operate like our life is threatened when only our lifestyle is threatened. I'm lazy, so I just got rid of my lifestyle, so now I can't be threatened. I don't even worry about it. What lifestyle? I don't have anything, so I can't lose anything. It's way easier that way. But anyways, hang on. So the thing is, it's if you actually trust of self is this. It's an exercise. We don't have time for it now, but I'll just tell you what it is. It's called a worst case scenario exercise. If you do this exercise, I say, well, what's the worst? Just go for it. Just go for it. Do this like that and go for it. Go what's in your heart. Just go. When? Now. What now? Now what? But no, just now. Go for it. Worst could happen. I could do this. I could lose everything. Everybody in this room, if you lost everything, and now you're sleeping on a friend's couch and you have like nothing. If I do the exercise and I'd say, imagine that happened 30 days ago, and now make a list of the next 10 to 20 actions you would take. And if you I'll get back on my feet. No, I would call these people. I would get on the internet, look for work. I would do this or that, and go, okay, when would you have a job by how time? People would say within this much. Okay, let's double that. Instead of 2, let's say 4 months. Okay, this. And without fail, with a very, 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 very odd exception, without fail, I can demonstrate that the outcome of losing everything is that within 1 to 2 years, if not much sooner, your life will get better. You'll have shed everything, a whole bunch of stuff you have right in your life now just because of inertia, but you know it shouldn't be this way, you know it shouldn't be that way, but you can't do it, you don't do anything about it. You won't have it anymore, and you won't bring it back in. You've done, no matter what you think, you've done a bunch of learning, which now if you have nothing, you'll build your life newly from a different blueprint. Is that clear? Yeah. With what you've learned. It'll be the biggest gift to just get rid of it. Well, now when I go work with business, they said, in an ideal world, what would you like to do to start? I would like to burn your business to the ground and start again. It's so much easier. You just got so much attachments to shit. If they were all gone, you could do it fresh with everything that you learned. You actually will. You just naturally do. It's a natural outcome. Everybody sees when they do the exercise, 1 to 2 years, they'll be way happier and life be better. So the worst case scenario of going for it, losing everything, is your life gets better. So man, just screw it. Go for it. Whatever it is. Get your calling clear. Go and figure out ways to live it. Fail 50 times. Who cares? As far as I can tell, from all the scientific experimentation I've done, either you can have a miserable life and then die. You can have an okay life and then die. You can give it everything you got, have nothing left, and then die. Might as well go for it, right? You wanted to? Can you pass this mic back? Right. So it's like, it doesn't matter. It's go feel into it. Be yourself. You're going to discover every time the things that didn't go. You're going to, the way you want it, you'll shed that picture, Oh, look, I'm still alive. Not only am I alive, I went for it. Whoa! And you're less and less afraid. You know when you're learning to ski, you're trying to not fall and you can't ski. Then you stop trying to not fall and suddenly you can ski. I don't know what the current thing is. In the late 90s, they said, when I was doing a lot of business work, 90% of the self-made millionaires in the States had been bankrupt at least once. And they were the most successful. Why? Because once they were bankrupt and it didn't kill them, they weren't afraid of failing. So now they were working on succeeding instead of not failing. Does everybody get that? So just freaking go for it. We live in an incredible world where our ancestors worked their asses off to give us something. And that's an environment where you could go out here, any one of you in the towns where you live, and lie down on the sidewalk and try and starve to death. You can't. Somebody will pick you up. You know what I'm saying? We've been given a platform of survival from which we could create, and we could honor that, or not. But it's given to us. Their survival is not a question. Screw your comfort. It's not comfortable anyways. It's what these billionaires I work with, they call the velvet rut. It's very soft, but it's just a rut. Forget it. Be alive, right? Go for it. And will absolutely get on your feet. You'll get stronger and better every time. You'll have so much peace. You will be so unafraid. You want to have fallen down and lost it and got back up. That's what will make you fearless, not never having fallen. You get that? Never having fallen will make you more and more and more afraid. If you're not failing, you're not playing hard enough at something. Get that? If you're not failing at anything, you're not playing hard enough, a big enough game. I'm going to make my calling alive in the whole world. Now fail at that. We're kind of strange about failure. You go to the gym, and as soon as you can do 10 sets, 10 reps of, and then 3 sets and 10 reps effortlessly, what do? You put a weight that you can fail at. And then you get stronger. And then you put a weight you can fail at. And every time you put a new weight you can fail at, you celebrate! Woohoo! The failure. Why? Because now you know you're progressing. And the rest of the time we avoid failure like crazy. But the bottom of all of that is your trust of yourself. You get that? The bottom. Forget everything I'm saying and just get trust of yourself. Who you are is enough. You're not using even a fraction of yourself. You know that. Go out there and fail at some shit, fall down and get back up and get who you are. See, if you're not failing, you're not using all of yourself. You need a game that's so big that you fail at it and you know all of you got used because you couldn't get it done with everything you had. Clear? What are you saving it for? Question?
Thank you very much for sharing the knowledge, first of all. My question is actually with regards to the actions. How do we know that our actions are right or wrong? Why I'm asking this question is because I was hearing one of the presentation by Frank Abagnale. I'm sure you might have heard about him.
You don't have to tell me that. I could just answer the question.
So in Frank Abagnale, he says in the presentation that he was doing everything what his mind was supposed to do, and he thought everything what he was doing was right, but only to understand, but by the time he reached in the future, he was doing everything was wrong. But he was very positive. He did what he found himself as right. So how does you know that the future, which I'm going to do right now, my future is not going to be in fault?
One, why should I answer your question if you don't listen to me? You know you don't listen to me? Well, I'll answer it anyways for everybody else's benefit. Maybe you'll listen, maybe you won't. You can ask them what I said later. So, I have no clue. How the hell do I know? All you can do is do what you believe in now, and maybe somebody will shoot you at the end. I don't know. See, you keep looking for answers and certainty, and I already told you I don't provide certainty. So what I can tell you is this. Get in your calling and lining up with it and living from there. What it's producing by observation. All of my work is experimental and not theoretical or speculative. It's just observe, experiment. And as far as I can tell, me and the people that I work with live true to their life is unimaginable. It's in these things that we're pursuing, it seems to be aligned with what is true in the nature of human being. But that's only up till now. Maybe we'll discover that I was completely fucking things up for the future. I don't know. I can't, but I'm not kidding. No, I've already been through that. I help people build incredible, like, I had to give up a lot. I had a massive state change in this existential crisis as I realized I had developed an incredible body of work that helped people, businesses, create, in fact, very progressive businesses and heart-based, all these things, and grow much more successful and all that. And I go, wait a minute, the more I'm having people be really effective and successful in this world, the more I'm perpetuating this world, which is the world I was out to change and alter. And I was like, holy shit. And even if I help this person increase their business 10 times, they're like, actually, businesses don't need to grow. We need to have less of everything. If I'm looking from the space of the world, you know, it's insane. The very nature of business is as unhealthy as you can get. I've worked in this world for a long time. It's even law in a public company. You have to maximize growth. Growth is the only right thing. That's insane. That's actually completely insane. That would be like you grow to your optimum size, right? And then, okay, you're now at your optimum size at 50. Like, no, keep eating, keep growing, keep eating, keep growing, keep eating. Like every year, where's your percentage? That's insane. You wouldn't do that with your house, with your body. You wouldn't, you know, like it's insane. And I helped make that happen really well. Right? But it's like, so that'll happen when it does. But I did it with my whole heart, my whole passion. I was doing the right, okay, I don't know. And so I'm now doing this. Maybe that'll be insane too. I don't know. Right? But you can sit around and wait for the right answer, or you can play. What I trust is, there's this aspect of alignment with heart and earth, and something comes from source and right up. I don't know what we'll learn about this in the future, but you can only, you know, I'll say this. There's a deep sense. Mostly you really know when you're full of shit if you're willing to examine it. You just mostly don't want to examine it. And all we can do is the best with what we got right now, right? So, you know, have enough, be awesome, and, you know, that'll sort it out. That's my take on it now. And otherwise, I have no way to prove if what I'm talking about is even remotely on the right path, right? I may be going to hell for everything I'm talking about. I don't know. Now, I'll tell you this thing. It's actually an interesting thing that altered my life. It's the last thing I'll say. It was like in the world of leaving open about we don't know. It was in like 2001 or 2, something like that. Wow, it was like woke me up about how arrogant I can be and what we think we know. I was leading a course, a transformation workshop in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the middle of the Bible Belt, and you know, it's going on the third day of it. this guy got up and stood up and he said, hey, you're all going to hell. I go, okay, well, no problem. You know, this part happens when it does. You go, why do you say that? Well, this and that. And he's a member of a particular church, a particular Christian church that's a small one, not Catholic, but you have to be in teachings of Jesus Christ and you have to be a member of that church or you're going to hell. So it's like, okay, that and where it came from. And, you know, the whole world is to have questions and dialogue to see if you can open a perspective. And I asked him more about that, talk about that. I gave him the age-old question, but what if there's an Aborigine in Australia somewhere living more true to your principles than anybody in your church, but he's never heard of Jesus? Is he going to hell? He goes, yes. And how do you rationalize that? We said, well, that's why we have to get out and reach. We have to save the souls that we're losing. I said, okay. And they go, and then somehow we got into this, and then we got, okay, is your God, what's the nature? He said, well, is your God loving and compassionate? Yes. Well, if this person is going to hell when they're living a pure life, how is that loving and compassionate? So the question is to create questions where suddenly maybe something can be seen that wasn't seen, right? And it didn't get seen. He got really angry and he stormed out and slammed the door and left and everything like that. But everybody else really got, you know, something out of it. There's always some value. And this moment I'll never forget. I remember thinking after he left, I remember having this thought like, idiot. And then I watched myself having that thought. I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? And then I like, why am I thinking that? Well, he has this belief, this and that, and I don't see it, and I can't see it, nobody else sees it, and okay. And I thought, oh, but wait a minute. Yesterday I was just telling people about Copernicus and Galileo, and they said, nope, the earth goes around the sun, and people didn't see it, and the Catholic Church says, oh, you're dead. Oh, no, you're putting you in jail. In fact, with Galileo, just a few years ago, they said, sorry, we were wrong, and they unexcommunicated him, which means he spent 400 years in hell, but now he's out, apparently. It's like, I love how that works. Like, what? Right? Damn, 400 hot years and whatever, right? But the thing about it is, they both said something that everybody said they couldn't see it, and they said that can't be true. In fact, they gave him pretty severe criminal punishment, right? And only because nobody else could see what they saw. And there was actually a reason that it didn't look the way that they were saying, but it was that way, clear? And then I had to go, holy shit, that guy might be right. Do you know that you and I have no way of proving that he isn't? None. You can say it doesn't feel that way, but why? And you can say, well, the reason is my feeling. Well, he says the reason is his feeling. Is it very clear? We have no idea. That could be the answer. Or it could be some small sect in the Andean mountains somewhere, or whatever it is. We have no idea. So I actually got that I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. All I can do is pick, and I fully, knowingly, consciously pick the path I do, and I'm willing to take whatever heat or not comes at the end. Right? But there's no way I have, and I challenge anybody to actually absolutely prove that anyone is the right or wrong. Don't know. Well, you can simply be true, own it, don't try to conclude it as the truth and play it, because then even your own truths have changed over time. Right? So just, honor who you are, live true to that, and let people honor what they do. Because they might be right. But you never know, right? So I would say stay with that. And I would say, in the decades of work that I've done, this is all I can say is this is the best culmination, which seems to align the most with what has life flourish, from the planet to the people. And that's the only rationale I have behind it. All right? Cool. You guys want to?
Hello? Is this on?
Yeah, you're on now.
All right. So, for anyone who had a hard time finding the healing technologies over in the castle, I recently found out that we have a European distinction from the American distinction. So, for the Europeans, you guys have the ground floor and then the first floor. For us, the ground floor is the first floor. So, so the Europeans can find it on the first floor to the left, and the Americans can find it on the second floor to the left. So you go into this building, you go up the stairs, and there it is.
So Americans, you always have to encourage them, let them think they're a little further ahead, like Oh, you're on second already, huh?
So there's more information about this again in the back of the room on the flip chart. After Bentinho's evening session tonight, there's going to be a sound healing session hosted by Peter de Meyer in this room. All of the details are also posted in the back of the room. And for anyone who's in the mood to play, there will be volleyball, football, frisbees, water balloons, and a couple of little pools set up in the back here right after the session, basically, at 6:30, starting or for about an hour or so. So you can grab your bathing suits, and this will be taking place behind the fire pit in the back. Thanks, guys.